Oh yeah, I do. You see what I did? No. We're getting close. Soon. Yeah.
This is a weird question. But have you taken the diversity classes?
Yeah, I think I chose like an A
Sit down.
class. A lot of the architecture classes qualify.
Ooh, that's nice.
Architecture 571, which is design for
Pretty sure never do seconds.
There are a lot of
Yeah, nothing got
classes here.
you want black stuff. Do whatever you want.
Yes.
Architecture is like design for
I think I will wait.
oh yeah, you're
No,
Well, I wanted to, so mine kind of. Oh gosh. I dropped it off at like 3.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, and I literally made like 4 trips to take that stuff, like take it from my car for the. Just sit here.
Oh. Gotta get these sets. What's big in my Is that gray?
I think you're staying for the fat marker.
Huh?
It's like a fat
Oh my god.
sash. It's a fat marker. Yeah, this is like thin.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, buddy. Joy to the world.
I don't.
How?
No, I don't. My bad.
I don't know how you're doing it. How do you know so well? Yeah, that's fine. I'm taking nope. Well, yeah, I guess I could be doing stuff. Sleep is fun, so.
Did you pull up
When I'm done
the
with prep, like,
Some flickies?
I can't do that. I don't know. Don't hurt.
Okay. Don't tell me twice.
I'm down with that because I got an exam tonight at midnight.
Hello.
I'm down with that. That's why and we're so close. You want to see my schedule? It's called education. You do nothing.
Oh, is that the...
Education courses are literally just one more and class and you do nothing.
I don't mind. Get the kids in front. My friend texted me today because he was also presenting, and he was just like, have you started this? I really was like,
This is my this one too, but that's gone. That one I never go to.
Student government was never
Look at you depending on people.
Which was like
Rule number 1, you're not supposed to do that.
I know. I should never trust government.
and he just said, so he just kind of do it 20 minutes about the reading so that we do that. We only have to do
Oh, mine is on too.
participation.
I
I call this meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. on Wednesday, April 14th. We'll begin with a roll call here, going through the names alphabetically. If you're here by proxy, please say the person you're proxying for. We'll start Adagarla. Ulrich.
Here.
Anderson. Brecht.
Here.
Claiborne.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Crab.
Here.
DeVore. Filippi.
Here.
Finaldi.
Here.
Fix. Gates.
Here.
Goff.
Here.
Gupta.
Here.
Hayes. Heron.
Here.
Langles. Lent. Ludwig.
Here.
Idvate.
Here.
Martinez. Senator Idvate, are you serving as a proxy for Martinez?
Yes.
McCready.
Here.
Paulson.
Here.
Risvik.
Here.
Seth.
Here.
Simmons.
Here.
Thornton.
Present.
Weathers.
Here.
Yang.
Here.
Zuber.
Here.
All right, we'll go ahead and go into a pledge of allegiance led by Speaker Weathers.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll move into the program for tonight, which is a COVID-19 campus climate survey with Idvate.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Olson. I am not the current Senior Director of Communications anymore. Crazy how that works. So we are going over what we did as Senior Director of Communications and Director of Outreach in our last administration. And again, my name is Anna Olson and my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
I am your current Vice Speaker, and I was the last Director of Outreach last year. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Also, Eliana Crab.
Awesome, yeah, so basically what this survey goes over is last year over winter break, many students on campus got an email regarding this survey, and it is in order to go over what students are feeling over COVID-19 and the overall campus climate. We came up with this idea after putting on the Social Justice Forum over last summer. We thought that this was a need within the community because of the events that were happening over the summer, and so we decided to talk to diversity and inclusion on campus in order to see what we could do in order to look at the different things that we could improve on or what things we did good on that Social Justice Forum. And from there, we decided to look into a survey to see what students are really experiencing on campus right now in order to see what sort of initiatives we can take after this. And so we are excited to share that information with you all today. And two other individuals that worked on this survey with us are the Director of Diversity and Inclusion and Health and Wellness, Sophie Young and Lauren Perk. They were the former directors in those areas, and so we are very fortunate to those two that helped us out with this project also. Awesome, yeah, so basically that's just the overall what the survey is all about. We just reached out to all the students and let them know that this survey is something they can participate in order to share their experiences that they've had on the Iowa State campus. Okay. And then overall, our participation data, we had 873 responses. And so as you can see over there, we have different breakdowns within race and so on. And so about 1 out of 360 students responded to the survey, which we thought was pretty good over winter break, especially with the longer winter break that we had.
All right. Out of the sorry, this is really hard to read. Out of the students tested at ISU, 18.82% of people thought it was extremely easy or moderately easy to get tested. So the rest of them probably did have issues with that, and we do have more information on the next slides. It was difficult to get to Hilton Coliseum. Hard to read. But yeah, I was notified of my close contact with a positive report at 10:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning and spoke to someone at Teelan at 10:45 a.m. and was able to schedule an appointment at 11 a.m. Was done by 11:15 a.m. It was very fast and efficient. So we're seeing some students that had a really positive experience with this, but also we saw a lot of freshman students that really did kind of have a hard time with this because you had to go all the way over to Hilton for some of the testing. So that was something that we reported.
Okay. Okay, that's a little less excruciating. Okay, so we had some responses to their barriers to medical treatment. So we had 3.21% of students did not get tested due to insurance. That was one of the main things that we saw within students on campus, is that a lot of students' insurance did not cover them once they reached the university and once they were students on campus. So some different stories that we got. One was my dad lost his job a few months ago, and my insurance was through his employer. He has to go through a probationary period at his new job before he gets health insurance. My insurance doesn't cover me in the U.S., and there's many other stories much like that one.
All right. So these are some of student experiences that where they're not coming here to talk to us at Senate, so we're bringing them to you as well. I can legally be refused healthcare due to my identity, so I rarely seek medical attention at this point, and have to keep my identity hidden when getting my life-saving medications filled up. So this is an extension. Affects me seeking COVID-19 medical treatments and my ability to get tested when I feel sick. So there are a lot of students that were suffering during this time and probably still do suffer because of insurance medical treatment due to their identity. So.
And then 15 students said that they did not seek COVID-19 treatment from healthcare professionals based on previous experiences regarding aspects of their identity, which kind of goes along with that last quote that we have there too.
15 students on this large campus doesn't feel like a lot, but also if you look at 15 students within this room, that does mean a lot. Those are people that really do matter. So we're trying to focus on different ways that we can help our fellow cyclones.
And then also something we thought was interesting was the internship and work. So 26.69% said that they could not have an internship or work possibility because of the pandemic. For me personally, I mentioned a lot throughout the last few weeks that my dad works through ISU Extension, and so a lot of the extension could not have some of their job and internship opportunities because they couldn't necessarily go back into, like last summer, they weren't equipped with the opportunity or with the necessities that they needed and resources in order to have those internship opportunities to be in person. And so a lot of people had to stop those internship opportunities for the summer, which really didn't help students on campus when they are needing those internships either for jobs or also just financial resources.
This is my favorite slide. These are some action plans that we have going into after the life after COVID. So emergency grants in May of 2020, $21.7 million came from HEERF and the CARES Act, $10.85 million went to emergency student financial aid grants. So we just want to continue advocacy for emergency funds within the next round. I posted something on the ISU StuGov social media kind of regarding, they did another round of these as well. So trying to get that information that there's emergency grants. I think they're open till April 22nd, so make sure you're reaching out to your constituencies and letting them know that there's grants that these students can apply for if they are in they have emergencies or they're really in need after COVID-19. And also promoting summer classes. The university recently decided, and this is what I got from my advisor, but decided that tuition will not be raised for summer 2021 for non-resident students taking between 1 to 4 credits. So it's kind of like that's encouraging students to take summer classes this summer. And also educating students on unemployment benefits. I want to work with Extension and Outreach to teach students about their 2021 tax forms and unemployment benefits. So.
And so another area, and we kind of touched on a few different points there, but racism and xenophobia on campus based on that campus climate portion of the survey. And so that's our next section.
Once again, these are some of the experiences that some students have. They did come to Senate with them, but we're really excited to kind of let you know what's happening on campus to some of our students. People have made jokes on what they claim are harmless jokes using terms such as Chinese virus or Kung flu. Also, as minority populations are already at risk being discriminated against when seeking health care, they are more likely to die from COVID due to poor health care. Some people are going out and partying without any regard for who might get COVID from their partying. That is in itself a racist act. I have overheard groups of people who are not wearing masks call COVID-19 the China virus. That's unacceptable. That happened, and it makes persons who are of Asian heritage feel unsafe in the Ames community. Some customers have held their breath around me, refused to talk to me or make eye contact, or intentionally gone to another associate even though my register is open.
And so the next thing that we have on here is our action plans that we came up with after seeing these results. And so one, we have adding a module specifically about racism as it relates to COVID-19 and the managing bias learned at ISU, more transparent investigation process into racist acts on campus, along with explicitly welcoming reports on anti-Asian acts or other related to COVID-19, a statement from the university health officials disproving and condemning anti-Asian sentiments surrounding COVID-19, and COVID-19 education model on campus that acknowledges racism, xenophobia, and implicit bias in relation to the pandemic. So all of those are steps that we can use in order to move on, and that's what we were able to convey to a lot of the different administrators on campus in order to make sure that we can come up with those action plans after this survey is done. Something that I do want to mention too is Beth Wessel-Christel, which is currently a representative from Ames. She reached out to me and let me know that the legislature, there's different things that are being brought up about not being able to fund extra money for students here on campus, but still not raising and our tuition. And so that could potentially harm different things that we're working on with different programs and different things in those areas. So making sure that all of you are definitely involved within the legislature also, because you are all individuals that are involved with students and what students want to see on campus and what programs you want to make sure aren't being cut. In addition, we wanted to make sure that we brought this survey to all of you because we wanted to make sure you were all educated in what students are saying right now, especially with COVID-19, even though we feel like with vaccines and stuff coming out that there's a change, but there's still a lot of things that students are experiencing on campus because of the different acts that have been happening here.
Yep, I want to say thank you all for paying attention. This is our first program in Senate, so it was really nerve-wracking coming up here. I wanted to also say thank you to Lauren Perk and Sophia for helping us with this. Thank you.
We are now in open forum. This is an open discussion for issues relevant to students. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand and I'll be able to call on you, and please indicate your name and major. Yep, go ahead.
Alrighty. They said it wasn't working, so I figured. Oh, there is a microphone up here. Huh. This one is good? Purple? Okay. Hello, everyone. I am highly respected Senator Ryan Hurley. I come here today to give the people's mandate. I'm going to give some background prior to explaining the mandate handed to me. I've been elected thrice to represent the Inter-Residence Hall Association. Sadly, due to many wrong-headed and reckless decisions made by the IRHA and Election Commission, I am currently unable to sit amongst you. I understand that this was done because my ideas and style were not appreciated. In fact, several currently seated senators have harassed and harangued me for being an outsider. I tell them I'm proud to be an outsider. I'm proud that I do not function as a cog pushing this system forward to hurt the very people that we all were elected to represent. Student government can certainly be a force for good, as seen in some currently presiding senators. I will not name these senators, as I'm certain that they would face retribution and have a black mark next to their name for being friends and associates of mine. To those good senators, keep your head held high and keep smiling. Just a second, getting a drink. To my haters, of which there are many, to the people who have attacked and slandered me, I will tell you what must be done. My haters, I ask you, hang your head low, drop to your knees, respectfully understand this fact. 2021 and every year henceforth shall be the YOTH, the year of the Hurley. I understand that this may be a painful fact for some, but it is a fact. Now, we must address the mandate I was sent forth to give student government. It must be done, elsewise it must be treated to the same method used by grape farmers in France and Italy, a burning renewal. When grape vineyards see rot and decay, it is burnt away to ensure new vines will not contract the same situation. We currently face much decay, rot, parasitism in student government, proposing policies that do not help students or can directly hurt same said students. If we cannot right the course, it must be destroyed and rebuilt anew for the students. I'm going to mention this mandate. One of the biggest expenses that we pay for is the Iowa State Daily. Student government has a massive multi-year contract to give them a massive amount of money. Senators must propose legislation to lower that amount of funding, seeing as they have gone digital for this time being. How much time do I have left?
About 6.5 minutes.
Okay. Secondly, we must allow students to see what is being passed and proposed by student government. The Senate must direct the IT department to update the website weekly with bills. This is not radical. This is a normal demand. The people deserve to see what everyone is putting forward. Thirdly, we must make it harder to raise the amount of money that students pay towards us in tuition. I would propose that we raise, in order to raise the prices, it should be brought up to 75% of senators must agree. I think that that would make it a fair shake for the students, and that's what's important. Finally, and most importantly, I've done this a lot, massively. I'm beloved in IRHA, I've been told. Everyone must make an effort to reach out to your constituents. The amount of people who have never met their senator, they tell me, I don't know my senator. That's ludicrous. Do what I did, table in your constituency. Not just to your constituency council, none of that, but to the individuals who you represent. Now I'm going to part with a quote. Criticism is easier to take when you realize that the only people who aren't criticized are those who don't take risks. I thought about this quote a lot, and I realized it's true. Criticism is a great thing. I love when people criticize me because it only makes me stronger. So I'm going to say this to not just the people in the room who hate me, but to all my fans watching the student government stream. Thank you. Thank you, my haters. I love you. I cannot wait to see what you cook up I'm really excited for it. Thank you all. Thank you all for your time.
Can you bring the mic back to where you took it from? Sir.
Is there any other speakers tonight for open forum? All right, come on up and state your name and major, please.
Hi, my name is Casey Dagg. I'm not actually a student. I work for the Memorial Union, but I just wanted to give you all a little bit of training on the microphones. I know some of you are new to Senate, so I just wanted to give you a rundown. If you have this style of microphone, there's an on and off switch that you can turn your microphone on and off as you need. If you have this style of microphone, if you look at the bottom here, you'll see this push. If the light is lit green, that means your microphone is on and you will be heard. And if it is red, you will not be heard. One thing to take note of is even if you don't hear yourself, if your microphone is green, it's still picking you up, even if you don't hear yourself in the room. And so the stream can still pick you up. So if you're having a sidebar conversation with someone, try to make sure that your microphone is red so that the stream doesn't pick you up in the background. So just kind of wanted to give you that information.
Is there any more speakers tonight for open forum? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to adopting the agenda for tonight. Is there any additions or changes to tonight's agenda? Senator Ludwig?
All right, I move to add 2021-1-023SC, confirming a nominee for the Director of Diversity, Director of Diversity and Inclusion to the top of special orders.
Is there a second? Any objections? The appointee for Director of Diversity and Inclusion will be moved to the top of special orders. Any other additions to tonight's agenda?
Right, I move to add 2021-1-020SC, confirming a nominee for Finance Director to the bottom of special orders.
Is there a second? Any objection? Is there a second? Any objections? All right, confirming a nominee for Finance Director will be moved to the bottom of special orders. Any other additions?
Okay. Oh, I don't think that's what that was supposed to do. Okay, I didn't get duplicated on the document, but I'll just read through them. I move to add 2021-1-022SC, confirming a nominee for Senior Director of Communications to the bottom of special orders.
Is there a second? Any objections? Senior Director of Communications will be moved to the bottom of special orders.
Okay. And I move to add 2021-1-021SC, confirming a nominee for Director of Outreach to the bottom of special orders.
Been moved and seconded to move the Director of Outreach appointee to the bottom of special orders. Any objections? All right, so moved.
Okay, and then I move to add 2021-1-024SC, confirming a nominee for Director of Marketing to the bottom of special orders.
Right, Director of Marketing. Is there a second? Any objection? Director of Marketing will be added to the bottom of special orders.
Okay, that's all I have. I yield.
Any other additions to tonight's agenda? Right, is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda? Oh, sorry, Senator Debate.
Yeah, move to add 2021-1-011SG, seating an off-campus senator, and then 2021-1-013 and 015 to the top of special orders in that order specifically.
Slower.
Could you say the second part again? Not the UROC Senator.
Yes, so 013 and 015 directly under that.
At the top is all those three on the top of special orders?
Yes, in that order.
Is there a second? Is there any objection to adding those to the top of special orders? All right, those move to the top of special orders. Any other additions to tonight's agenda? So moved, is there a second?
Seconded.
All right, any objection to adopting tonight's agenda with the additions? Okay. The agenda's adopted for tonight. We'll go on to the approval of minutes from last week. Are there any?
Last week's minutes.
Last week's minutes? Did you say you moved it? Adopted? Is there a second? Any objections to adopting last week's minute? All right. Now going on to committee reports. We have a committee report from the Finance Director, Matthew Klass.
You're fine. Hello, everyone. I'm over here, so I'll stand up. I am the, ooh, wow. Loud enough, and also a mic squeak is fun. I am the former, well, will be soon, the former finance director. But so I just thought I'd give an update quick, according to the bylaws I'm supposed to. So special projects, for account balances, I have to give you 5. Special projects sits at $844,922.23. Legislative relations sits at $6,745.80. The events account sits at $19,899. Executive initiative account sits at $207.87, and Senate discretionary sits at $15,520.49. I will send that to someone to get out to you so you can have all those numbers. That's it from me. Yeah, cool. Bye.
Thank you. Now moving on to comments from the executive branch with President Campbell.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hope the week's been positive so far for everyone with classes as we're wrapping up the semester. I have a few updates, and if anyone has questions at the end, please feel free to ask or follow up after the meeting or throughout the week. Currently, we're in the process of seating people to our executive cabinet as well as the Supreme Court. We've had incredible applicants, and we appreciate everyone who has taken the time to apply there. And we look forward to the Senate hearing from many of those candidates that are up for nomination tonight. And we also encourage you to ask questions about their experiences and expertise in those roles. Secondly, we've had the President's Council that's met on Tuesday in this room. It was a great chance to hear from administration at Iowa State. President Winterstein spoke about what the fall semester will look like and how there is the large encouragement to be back in person. We spoke briefly about in-person commencement coming up, as well as the Dean of Library Services. Candidate information is available online. It's open for commenting if anyone would like to provide feedback on those candidates before they make their final selection. And finally, Aaron Baldwin had given an update about COVID-19 with the mass vaccination clinic. Some of the delays presented by the Johnson & Johnson news and the headlines that came out this week. So there was conversations there about what that will look like, and it truly is. We're playing it year by year, utilizing recommendations from the CDC and other higher education institutions, as well as the Iowa Public Health Department as we move along. So still making decisions there. Secondly, I'll touch on the demonstration safety team focus group that I was part of last week. This is open to students beyond student government, but it was a focus group about student activism on campus to better understand the ways the university can support students' rights as well as keep them safe. It's a tremendous effort from the Dean of Students office as well as the demonstration safety team, where they have a background in First Amendment training, de-escalation training, as well as a strong knowledge of Iowa State University's policies. We spoke with Mayor Hala of Ames on the phone about student government's collaborative working relationship over the next year, and he looks forward to sitting down with the ex officio in the coming weeks to learn more about how we can continue that working relationship. A small group earlier this week, we met with Dr. Andrea Wheeler to discuss the proposed university or U.S. diversity learning objectives. They're doing a review of the 170 U.S. diversity classes listed for the university, and their goal is for each of the classes that will remain on the list to meet 3 of those 4 objectives within their curriculum. Next, we had an open and affordable education committee meeting this week, and one announcement I would draw everyone's attention to is that during the summer term, and we'll see it more profoundly in the fall, the bookstore will be going away from Red Shelf as a company and a provider over the summer. They'll work out any of those kinks there, but then in the fall, this will fully be replaced with Verbal Vital Source. So not a big change on students' end, but rather on the staff's end and some of the software behind that. So if anyone has questions for me, I'd love to connect with you, but that's my update, and you'll see it in your inbox shortly. So thank you.
Moving on to General Orders 2021-1-001Y, extending pandemic policies with Senator Ludwig.
Point of order, committee updates?
Yeah, we had a rules update.
What other committee updates did you say?
We have a rules update.
Oh, excuse me. Yep. Rules Committee update with Speaker Weathers.
Hi, everybody. Sorry. We're still figuring everything out here, so things are a bit of a mess. But in terms of Rules Committee, we just had a short meeting. We looked at the bill we're about to talk about right now, extending pandemic policies. It was just your Vice Speaker Crabb and I are the only members of Rules Committee right now, but we'll be seeing a member to seat. So it went very efficiently, and I look forward to more efficient rules meetings. Thank you.
All right, if there's no more committee reports, we'll move on to general orders 2021-1-001Y, extending pandemic policies with Senator Ludwig.
All right, so I talked to everyone about this last week. Chapter 15, for those of you who don't know, is the chapter that contains all the bylaws that have allowed us to function kind of throughout the pandemic. They've allowed for online meetings and other things like that, created exceptions, the proxy program. So obviously, vaccinations are getting along the way, but we don't know exactly where we're going to be in the fall, and this chapter is set to expire and basically self-delete at the end of this semester. So what this bill does is extend the expiration date to the end of the second week of the fall semester, so that when we get back in the fall, we can make a decision. Do we still need this chapter? Do we still need the proxy provision, stuff like that? Or are we in a good enough position where we can kind of more or less return to the way that student government functioned before the pandemic? So it's a fairly straightforward bylaw bill. I think this is the second or third time that we've extended it. So I will yield for discussion if there is any, but it's pretty straightforward.
Is there any discussion on extending pandemic policies?
Call the question.
I'm going to call the question. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? We'll move on to Ludwig with closing comments.
Okay. Yep, this is hopefully my last bylaw bill ever. So I encourage you all to vote yes, because I'd like my last one to be a bill that I actually pass. So yeah, I will yield.
Moving into a vote. Is there a call for UC? Or it's a roll call vote. Roll call vote. So we'll go on to roll call vote. Please say yes, no, or abstain. Atagarla. Ulrich.
Yes.
Brecht. Claiborne.
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Crabb. Yes. DeVore.
Yes.
Philippi. Yes. Finaldi. Fix. Yes. Gates. Goff. Yes. Gupta. Heron, excuse me.
Yes.
Ludwig. Yes. Advait. Martinez. Yes. McCready. Paulson. Yes. Rizvik.
Yes.
Seth. Yes. Simmons.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Weathers.
Yes.
Yang. Zuber.
Yes.
We have a vote to 26 to 0. The order passes. Moving on to 2021-1-003F, funding a sustainability resources mass email with Senator Seth.
Okay, sorry. Microphone was dead. So y'all saw this bill last week. I'll just kind of re-explain a little bit about what it is and what it's trying to do. So now former member of the Sustainability Committee of Student Government put together essentially a graphic, essentially discussing ways that college students can shop sustainably on a budget, because a lot of us are constrained financially. And so this list that she created, it's very visually appealing. It's essentially a graphic, but this list that she created is meant to help students do that and give them a way or like a resource as to how to start shopping sustainably. And so essentially all we want to do with this bill is we just want to fund a mass email to send the list out to students before the end of the year, just so students have it and so that they can, going into summertime, into internships, this is something that they'll have access to. I yield for questions.
Vice Speaker Crab.
Thank you, Senator Seth, for introducing this bill. I do have some questions. What day are you planning on having this go out?
We want it to go out as soon as possible. So if this bill passes tonight, I intend to send the intramural over to, I guess, former finance director class as soon as possible, and we'll start working on the form to get the mass email sent out. So we'll just ask that it be sent out as soon as possible to students.
Mm-hmm. Just using my outreach hat, something that I think that would work really well is if we maybe waited like a week or maybe just a couple days to send that out for when we do get our director of sustainability. I think it would be a really good idea to put like maybe the application on the bottom of that, since that is going to it is a mass email, it's going to all students. So is that something y'all thought about at all?
That was not considered when the bill was initially written, because at the time we didn't know that the director would have been chosen by now. But I do know that the director is going to be sat next week. So that is something that we could work into the application if that is what the director would like, or if that's what President Campbell and Vice President Decker would like to see as well.
Yeah, just something with outreach is, my mind was like, if you can put student government's name anywhere or put it on anything, I think this would be a really good opportunity to do some outreach for sustainability individually. Yield.
Senator Debate.
So I helped co-write this bill, and I just wanted to sort of clear out the technical side of things with finance. So we do not have a finance committee right now. Sustainability committee does have the green fund, but the bylaws require the green fund to go through finance committee. So I guess we could have sat Senate as finance committee, but that's messy and annoying. So I spoke to, I guess, nominee Zastro now, and we figured out the best way to do this was just, I showed the bill to former finance committee members, got the all okay, so the bill's good from that side of things. And it's just easier to take it out of the Senate discretionary account, since we, as Senate, can just unilaterally pass that. That's what's going on here. And just Vice Speaker Crab, I think that's a great idea. And I think if we pass the bill right now, we'll have a week to work that out. So it's just a good idea to have this passed right now. I yield.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if current finance director, maybe soon to be former finance director class, had anything to say.
This is a very standard bill. Mass emails are something that we do. I will say that they typically take 2 weeks. So just in the future, when you're planning those, think about that. It's fine going through Senate discretionary. There's not a finance committee right now, and there's not a sustainability committee as far as I know. So this is fine in my mind of that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say to everybody that finance bills can be pretty complicated, and they're going to be something that we're dealing with all semester. So always direct questions to the finance director, because they know what they're talking about usually, hopefully. Thank you.
There's been a call to question. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? We'll go ahead and go to Senator Seth for closing comments.
I really appreciate y'all, all of the debate and the discussion on this bill. I am very excited that this will hopefully get to students soon. My committee member, Katie, spent a bunch of time putting this bill together, and it's going to come out in the form of a Canva graphic, and it's really, really cool. It's like interactive, and so it'll be really visually appealing, and she's really excited about it. So I just want to thank you all for considering that. I yield.
All right, we'll go ahead and go into a vote. We'll go into a placard vote here, or roll call vote, excuse me. So starting with Adagarla. Ulrich.
Yes.
Brecht. Yes. Claiborne. Yes. Cooper.
Yes.
Crab. Yes. DeVore. Yes. Filippi. Yes. Finaldi. Yes. Fix. Yes. Gates.
Yes.
Goff. Yes. Gupta. Heron. Yes. Ludwig. Yes. Advait.
Yes.
Martinez. McCready.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Rizvik.
Yes.
Seth? Yes. Simmons?
Yes.
Thornton?
Yes.
Weathers?
Yes.
Yang? Zuber? And then Advait, did Martinez vote? Okay. Yes, okay, perfect. The vote of 26 to 0 to 0, the sustainability email passes. We'll go ahead and move on to special orders 2021-1-011 SG, seating an off-campus senator with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, if Jay, you'd like to approach the podium. Yeah, UROC met Monday night. We reached quorum for a quick meeting, and we interviewed Jay for this candidacy, and I think we all agree that he'll make an excellent candidate. He passed unanimously, so I'll give him some opportunity to speak right now, and then I encourage everybody to ask him questions.
Good evening. My name is Jay Wagmeister. My pronouns are he, him, and I double major in public relations in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and I am pre-business in the College of Business. My favorite ISU dining meal is a burrito from the food court. I've been keeping up with Senate and student government through YouTube since the beginning of the semester. However, this is the first time I've heard many of your voices at regular speed as opposed to the 1.5. Before I decided to get involved in student government, this group had made an impression on me. My first real impression of student government was with Anna Olson. She took the time out of her schedule to explain the structure of student government and the various positions, which at first is intimidating. And because of her warm and welcoming attitude, I decided to pursue student government, and I really appreciated her efforts, and I appreciate them even more now knowing that at the time she was in the midst of prepping for Women's Week and a presidential campaign. Various senators answering my questions and showing me around also remind me that this group is here for the benefit of students. Those experiences, among others, this past semester has affirmed my desire to be involved in this group, and as I got a closer look at student government, I saw a group of passionate students using their time and skills to improve student life here. The dedication to a better experience is so cool to see, and it is something that I am also passionate about. That's all I got.
Senator Advait.
Thank you for coming out. I just wanted to sort of ask you, as a senator, there's a lot you can do with this position, and were there any sort of specific goals, anything you wanted to get done in terms of through the position and leveraging it?
I can't say that I have a set list of the tangible tasks to get done, but I do think that I stand strong behind keeping in contact with your constituents and just listening to people. And I think, similar to you, Senator Advait, my to-do list is an exact copy of my constituents' to-do list.
I just want to say Jay's really great. Jay actually ran for an LAS seat, and then he reached out to me over the weekend to find out if there were any vacancies in student government. I want to say that's like really engaged. It's really hard to find somebody that's so passionate about student government, so I think Jay is a fantastic person for the job, and please do vote yes. I yield.
Senator Seth.
Hi, Jay. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. I also want to say I love your shirt. I'm just going to start with that. I just wanted to ask, I guess my first question to you would be, being a senator is sometimes a lot of work. And so I just wanted to ask, how prepared are you to deal with the balancing act that you're probably going to have to do with all of the things that you do on top of being a senator if you are seated?
Yeah, so my workload, of course, I'm a full-time student. On top of that, my only other involvement is in PRSSA, the Public Relations Student Society of America. So if you choose to vote yes and I am seated, those are my two only time commitments that I have for the upcoming semester.
Okay, great. Yeah. And then my second question to you would be, you talk about wanting to reach out to your constituents and talk to your constituents a lot. And I think that that's great. I love that you want to, represent your constituency council as best as you can. I was just wondering, and it's okay if you don't have an answer yet, but, what are some ways that you plan to, maybe try to keep that line of communication with your constituents open, and how you kind of intend to, reach out to them and make sure that you're representing them as best you can?
So I'm really excited about the recent conversation with reverse town halls. I think that's something that's really exciting. And then beyond that, looking around, I think off-campus housing is probably the hardest group to target. Just because it's so broad and there's really not like one direct place that you can find them. But I think utilizing social media, I mean, just being the friendly person on the bus or in class once we can get back to in-person classes, just situations like that wherever you can make conversation or, plastering your email wherever it can go or just making sure that you can be reached very easily.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. You seem eminently qualified, and I thank you for answering my questions. I yield.
Senator Yang.
I just want to say I really liked what you just said about doing the little things to reach out to constituents. But my actual question was, what were your platform points when you ran?
So of course, since I'm switching who I'm representing, my platform points are obviously different, but I ran on the platform of inclusability, which is, modifying educational resources so that people of all abilities can, make it accessible however. I'm blanking now, it's been a while. On top of that was student safety. I think where I really, that derived from was the first Senate meeting I watched was when the Ames PD came and talked about security cameras on Welch. I was like, wow, what a genius idea. And just keeping student safety in mind at all times was important to me. So that was another thing that I had on my platform.
Yeah, I think student safety is really good for your senator to focus on. I yield.
Is there any other questions or debate for? It's been a call to question. Is there a second? Is there any objection to voting now? All right, we'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, I think everybody saw how excellent of a candidate that Jay is. I encourage everybody to vote yes. I do have, I guess I can't ask questions. I'm just going to put this out into the ether. Is Chief Justice Heasley or anyone from the judicial branch here to administer the oath if we do confirm him tonight? Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and go into a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to confirming the UROC senator unanimously? All right, you're confirmed. Congratulations. We'll go ahead and go into 2021-1-0013 SG, seating at-large members to the Civic Engagement Committee with Senator Paulson.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I just wanted to thank you guys for voting for me last week for chair. I'm really excited about everything that's going to happen. The people that you guys are voting on tonight are very passionate. I love the ideas that they have, and I think that they would be a great contribution to this committee. And with that, I yield for nominations.
Vice Speaker Crabb.
I want to. Is this at large? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I yield. Sorry.
Oh, you're all good. Any discussion? Senator Debate?
So, I guess the question to Chair Paulson, are the at-larges in the room or?
Yes, 2 of the at-larges are here right now. One, he was unable to attend, but I interviewed with him and also have his responses in the application that I am more than happy to read.
Yeah, so what we generally do is have the at-larges go up to the lectern and talk about why they want to be on the committee. So I guess I'm more than happy to yield my time to the at-larges if they want to step up and talk about themselves.
Go on up, yeah.
Oh, is it working? Good? All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Chavez. I am a first year at Iowa State, and I am a political science major. I think that I would love to be a part of this committee because I believe that getting involved in government and learning about government is very important for everybody on campus. You know, we're all of voting age. And I think beyond just voting, you know, we need to get people involved in just learning more about campaigns, you know, being able to be a part of that. And just the spread of information is very important, because if we can reach just, you know, a couple more people and teach them about government, teach them about how important their elections are, then I think that's a really good thing that we could do.
Hi, my name is Ellen Kierna. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a public relations major. I want to be a part of the committee because I really want to get involved, like with this past election, learning about absentee ballots and the importance of registering to vote. I think it's really important that all students are aware that their voice is important and should be heard. And doing that, I just think it would be really good to be a part of the committee and just help educate my peers and make them aware of everything going on and how important it is to vote and share their opinion, not just overall, but locally as well.
Sweet, yeah, and I guess this is kind of weird because it's my speaking privilege, but I guess Chair Paulson, if you wanted to talk about the other two.
Yes, there's only just one other one. The other one, his name is Liam Struck, and he wanted to be a part of the Civic Engagement Committee. I'm just going to read from his perspective. Because I think it's extremely vital for young people, aka fellow college students, to be actively engaged in politics. The one thing you can do, if nothing else, is a vote, and a lot of people don't take advantage of this right, and they deserve to have their voice heard locally and state elections.
Thank you so much. You all seem really qualified, but I'm going to yield for questions.
It's been a call to question in a second. Is there any objection to voting now? We'll go into closing comments then with Senator Paulson.
Again, I think that these three candidates are a great choice. I'm really excited to work with them if this gets passed. I think they'll do a great job, and I think we'll get a lot done in this next year on this committee. Thank you, and yeah, that's all.
All right, we'll go into a voting period now. Call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? All right, passed unanimously. Now moving on to 2021-1-015 SG, seating at large members to Student Initiatives Committee with Senator Dvait.
All right, so we have three nominees. I'd first like to move the amendment that's reflected on the screen to add the nominees to the bill.
Motion to add the amendment you said. Can you repeat that one more time?
The amendment that's already reflected on the screen.
Is there a second? Any objections to adding the amendment? All right, now we're moving into a debate period on the proposed amendment.
Call the question.
I'm going to call the question on the amendment. Is there any objection to voting? All right, so now we're voting on the amendment.
You see.
Call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? All right, now we're moving into a discussion period on the new bill with the amendment.
All right, sweet. So I know the two Nathans are in. What's up?
Yeah, I was going to ask if we could table this bill and move directly to the Director of Diversity and Inclusion. Our nominee is only here till 7, and they only have a couple minutes, so I'd at least like to give them a chance to speak for themselves before we vote on that.
I move to table this bill to the bottom of...
Table until we've dealt with the Director of Diversity and Inclusion bill.
I move it so moved.
Okay.
Fantastic.
It's been moved and seconded to table the current motion. Is there any objection? All right. The motion has been tabled then to later, and we'll move on to 2021-1-023 SC, confirming a nominee for Director of Diversity and Inclusion with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, I invite the nominee to come take the podium and speak a little bit on why they think they're good for the position, and then I encourage everyone to ask them questions again.
Is this mic working? Okay, well, first I'll just say that I did let the people know who I have a meeting with that I'll be a little late, so I do have some time. So my name is Alejandra Flores. My pronouns are she, her. I am a current political science and history major, and I'm a junior this year. So I didn't really know I was supposed to make a speech, but I guess I can say I decided to apply for this position because previously I hadn't really had a necessity to be in student government, but you know, the more I get involved on campus, I've been pretty involved throughout my last couple of years, and every time I just would see you guys doing all these amazing things, and I got to work pretty closely with the past Diversity and Inclusion Director, Lauren Perk, and so I decided I would throw myself in the ring for this. And yeah, I just would like to join and help make the community better here at Iowa State.
Is there any questions or discussion on the nominee? Senator Debate? Oh, Senator Yang.
What are some things you think we can do to make the community better here?
Sure. So, of course, these are plans that I have in my head, you know, not necessarily like written down yet, but I'd like to start, of course, by reaching out to all of our multicultural organizations on campus. We have a lot of them, and a lot of them don't always get a say. I think it'd be very important to reach out to them and ask them what their needs are. I would also like to continue some of the work that was done by the previous director of diversity and inclusion, which was gender neutral bathrooms, dining inclusivity, and that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think in general, the position needs to reach out more to students who are part of those communities that would be represented, and let them know that we're here to listen, let them ask them what they need, and work with plans together to create a better experience for all of them.
I yield.
Vice Speaker Crab.
Yeah, I just want to speak on this nomination. I am so excited that Alejandra got nominated. Listening to her speak during our Women's Week leadership panel, she spoke very eloquently, and I am just really excited for her to be up for diversity and inclusion. So,
Senator Thornton.
Hi. What kind of experiences do you have leading these sorts of conversations?
Sure. So I'm currently the president of the International Student Council. My term will be over at the end of this month. But I've done a lot. I'm also currently a Phi Alpha Theta member, which is the Honors Society for History students. I have been in Philosophy Club, History Club. I have participated in the Winter Guard. I've participated in just about all of the international student services that exist on campus. And I serve currently on the Student Advisory Board for the Vice President of Student Affairs as well. And I worked with new student programs as well for the past 2 years.
Yield.
Senator Claiborne.
So I am currently on Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and I obviously plan to do it next year. And I was working with Lauren for the gender neutral bathrooms, and you do seem very qualified. And I just wanted to outwardly say that I'm very excited to work with you next year.
Thank you.
Senator Yang. Oh, Senator Seth, excuse me.
Hi, Alejandra. I just wanted to start by saying I was the one who moderated the Women's Week panel about leadership that Alejandra spoke at. And she gave really great responses, and I really enjoyed being a part of that and getting to talk to you a little bit about ISC and what you do there. And so I am very excited that you are hopefully going to be the new director of diversity and inclusion in student government. I think you will do a wonderful job. But I just wanted to ask you real quick, having been the president of International Student Council, or is it president? Is that the title? Okay, that's what I thought. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. But having been the president of International Student Council, how could you, kind of use the experiences that you've gained from that organization or the connections that you've made with that organization to help, move forward your goal of talking more to reaching out more to those multicultural organizations and advocating for them in student government?
Sure. So I think the biggest job that the president has for the International Student Council is outreach, talking to as many people as you possibly can. So I work really closely with the ISSO, the International Students and Scholars Office. I have worked with administration, career services. I specifically try to get more multicultural organization involvement within International Student Council, because we like to say that we're the umbrella for all of the multicultural organizations. So I've worked pretty closely with them over the last 2 years that I've been on the council. And I think I already have connections, and obviously there's changes of administration in all of the clubs, but I think that I know the avenues to get there, and I think that I can use that to my advantage.
Okay, thank you. I'm so excited that you've been nominated, and I encourage all of you to vote yes. I yield.
Senator Yang?
Can you name a specific project or initiative that you worked on in the International Student Council? Is that what you were part of, that promoted diversity and inclusion?
Trying to think. I feel like all of the projects are kind of, tailored towards inclusivity and, spreading cultural awareness. But I'll say the one I'm most proud of, I started a new program this year of outreach ambassadors for the International Student Council. So these were people who were together. We kind of formed a group which would take care of that outreach together. So we started new programs to help combat isolation for international students in particular. We continue to try to get multicultural organizations to, get more members. They've lost a lot of membership ever since COVID hit because it's harder for them to get that outreach. So we helped them as much as we could. Of course, there's still a lot to be done. There's so much that I've done. I'm sorry, I'm blanking.
Just one is sufficient, thank you.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And then I just had one more question. Can you define diversity and inclusion for me? In your own words.
Yeah, I think I'll relate it more to how it is within the university. I would say the university is a diverse campus. We have a lot of people from all over the world. And, it's definitely a minority, but those people make the campus diverse. They bring in so many wonderful things of just, getting that cultural experience, that global experience. And I would say diversity would be, those people who make up the diverse nature of our campus. And then on the side of inclusivity, I would name it of just making sure that Iowa State is an inclusive place, that no one feels that they are being excluded. And specifically, I talk more about marginalized community because there's a history there of just, racism on campus and having that. So making it inclusive and making everyone feel at home here.
And then can you also define racism?
A hard topic, I would say. I think racism can be anything from microaggressions to simply just not understanding different cultures, which creates a divide. And within races, the actual term for it would be, discriminating based on someone's race.
Thank you, I yield.
There's been a call to question. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? All right, we'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, excellent questions, everybody. I think far and away excellent answers. I think everyone sees how eminently qualified you are, so thank you for coming and speaking. I yield.
All right, we'll go ahead and go into a vote. Call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to confirming Alejandro unanimously? All right, congratulations. So now we're going back to 2021-1-015 SG, seating at large members to Student Initiatives Committee with Senator Advait.
So, hello everyone again. I believe the two Nathans are in the room, at least one of them. So yeah, the nominees that are present, if they would like to go up to the lectern and talk about why they want to be on the committee. And while they're going there, Madeline, they go by Maddie, couldn't make it unfortunately, but I have something to read on their behalf. So Maddie's really excited to join Student Initiatives Committee. They are a freshman in aerospace engineering. They have a minor in sustainability and computer science. And in terms of projects they want to work on, they've said they want to work on hygienic products in female bathrooms, and then they'd also said they want to work on installing more emergency blue lights across campus and making sure all lecture videos have closed captions. On to you, folks. Whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Nathan O. My pronouns are he and him. I'm a third-year student in architecture, and I'm also a multicultural build mentor at the College of Design. After the events that have happened in recent months, I was not happy, and so I wanted to be a part of student government in some way, to be a voice and take action to my fellow students. To be honest, it was hard for me to choose between whether I wanted to be a part of Student Initiatives Committee or Diversity and Inclusion, as they could be related in so many ways. But I wanted to be a part of Student Initiatives Committee because I'm committed to bettering the experience, safety, and inclusion of students on campus in any way I can. I have some projects in mind that I want to work on that would help bring better community interaction and collaboration, one of which might collaborate with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I always want to be involved as I can on campus, and I'm excited to possibly have the opportunity to work in bettering students. Thank you.
Hello, I am the other Nathan. I am significantly less prepared than my counterpart, so I congratulate him on that. I've been working with SI now for about 2 or 3 months. Really, I will admit, a lot of you probably have seen me moving around, but my position has been minor, as I have been using this time mainly to learn the ropes of the position and just, learn the process, see how we can get things done, see how we can get proposed. In terms of where I want to move forward with this committee, I feel, to be quite frank, there's just a lot of smaller, very agreeable things within our student government and student body that we want to see done, such as especially accessibility to mental health services and more inclusive programs or welcoming in that matter. So I would love to see strives forward to doing that. And yeah, I feel like quite personally, as long as students have unmet wants, we'll still have a job and responsibility to meet them, and I would like to be a part of that answer process. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before I yield, I have spent a lot of time talking about these nominees, and Nathan's been great on the committee in the past few weeks, in the past 2 or 3 months, and they are incredibly engaged and charged, and I'm excited for what they can do on the committee. I yield.
Any objection to adding Senator Anderson to the roll? Right, she's been added to the roll. Now we'll move on to discussion on these 2 candidates. So, Senator Zuber, did you talk?
All right. I just had a question for the first Nathan. You alluded to 2 projects that you were thinking about doing. What were those?
So one of those projects I was thinking of is possible, like, having some sort of like gardens on campus, either like vegetable gardens or like like vegetable gardens to like I don't know, to like promote like community of like building or like growing food together like on campus. Is separate from like the greenhouses. And then the other one I thought of because of in regards to comments made in a couple of weeks ago in an open forum, I thought this would relate to the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and it is moving the multicultural center in the MU to a central location so that like students, multicultural students feel like they are welcomed to the campus, because like the location of the multicultural center, the MU, is kind of like hidden in like by the parking garage, and as well as the center at the student services, I think, building is also located like on the second floor in like a corner room. And so I think it would be a good project to like collaborate with student initiatives and diversity and inclusion, because it relates to like students and like their overall like well-being and just like diversity and inclusion.
Yep, that answers my question. And then I had a second question for the second Nathan. You said that you had like lots of little smaller things that you wanted to work on. Could you just give an example of one of those?
Oh yeah, of course. The smaller, as I mentioned, more agreeable things that I feel like 90% of the students would want to see better usually involve mental health services in some way or regard. Extension of diversity and inclusion resources, as way of my counterpart had just mentioned, is just one fine example of that. And then furthermore, we actually did complete the campus safety walk recently. So I think just simple engineering projects to make the campus either more accessible to the, I'm going to use the term less abled in that regard, but also just safer for even ourselves. Like we found like 3-inch tripping hazards. I don't want a lawsuit on our hands. I'm sure y'all don't want that either. Yeah, and like I said, there's just minor things. And from there, you know, obviously we're going to just keep getting complaints as they come in. So really just addressing and listening to the issues as they develop will be important in our committee as well.
All right, thank you. I yield.
Senator Thornton?
Hi. So Nathan O and I have been lab partners this entire semester in architecture, SciTech. And I would just like to speak on his character. He has such initiative in our lab assignments. He will work the entire day if I let him, whereas I tend to be in those assignments easier going. And for instance, we had this brick competition where I had no interest in actually going hard for the competition route. He wanted to win the competition, under no means necessary. He wanted to win. And I feel like he will bring that ambition and that drive to SI. And I just wanted you guys to know that. And when I did the campus safety walk with Nathan Scott, and I had mentioned that I was interested in joining SI, he spoke about SI with such passion. And so I wanted to convey that to you as well. I just really wanted to kind of get a gleam into my world with interacting with these two, even though with Nathan Scott it's been a little less time. I really look forward to, if I have the chance of joining SI, working with these two individuals further. I yield.
Senator Seth?
Hi, so I kind of wanted to follow off of what Emmy said, just talking about these two nominees. I think they're both eminently qualified. I know Nathan O, so that's the first Nathan for all y'all who don't know who that is, very well, and I can speak to his initiative. He's been coming to Senate meetings, at least the last few, for a while, and has been paying attention, and he's really passionate about improving the student experience at Iowa State. I see it every day. And so he is going to do a great job on this committee. And I don't know the other Nathan as well, but I also did the campus safety walk with, I guess, second Nathan last week. And I was also present when we were talking, and he seems very passionate about student initiatives and seems to seem to be having a really good time with it. And so I just wanted to speak on behalf of both of their characters. But I actually did have a question for both of you. I know, I'm like pulling a sneaky on you. So can you all kind of describe to me, what your time commitments look like next semester? How much time, would you have available to work on projects for this committee? And how would you kind of balance student government work with, I'm sure you're both busy people, what the other things that you do, the multitude of other things that you do?
So I am an architecture student, which is a pretty big time commitment. But I deciding to I'm a part of a bunch of clubs right now, but I'm deciding to like lessen those, and then because I want to be more a part of student government, so that student government is be majority of what I do outside of architecture, as well as like I said before, I'm a multicultural build mentor. So I will most likely be just doing architecture, and then my mentor program, as well as student initiative.
I would actually like to start by saying that is a very good question, as I did overcommit myself at the beginning of this semester. To not get too personal about it, I basically overcommitted myself to the point where it actually, mental health issues did go into physical issues, so I did have to take a break and resign from a few committees. So next semester I'm solely planning on just being an SI and being involved in my fraternity, which I will be living in, just to take it easy and take it hopefully a more relaxing route next semester. So aside from that, I should be available every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, not Mondays, in the next semester to do work with SI.
Okay, well, you both seem eminently qualified. I know the idea of overcommitting yourself very well. I understand that totally. And yeah, I thank you for being here tonight and for answering our questions. I will yield.
Call the question.
It's been a call to question. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? Go ahead and go to Senator DeVate for closing comments.
Waived.
Wait. So now we're going into a voting period here. Call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Great. Congratulations. All right, next we'll move on to 2021-1-012 SC, confirming a nominee for Chief of Staff with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, I'd invite my mentor to come to the stand.
All right. I think at this point I have met most of you, but I guess for a brief bio, my name is Jacob Ludwig. I'm a third-year student, double majoring in economics and political science. Next year will be my fourth year in student government. I originally joined in September of my freshman year as a legislative ambassador, and the rest is history. I was elected to the Senate that spring. I have served as a co-chair of the Iowa State University Committee on Lectures, a member of the Department of Public Safety Advisory Board, the Transportation Advisory Council. I've been a trustee on the Cyride Board of Trustees, where I've also represented the agency to the Ames Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Been a commissioner on the Parks and Recreation Commission. Been a part of the Rules Committee. I've written bills, resolutions. I've worked on projects, initiatives, constitutional amendments. I've written or rewritten whole or nearly whole chapters of our bylaws. I have dedicated a lot of my time and my adventure here at Iowa State to student government and its objectives. And for this last year, I served as the Speaker of the Senate and the Chair of the Rules Committee. This spring, I ran for an off-campus Senate seat, fully expecting and intending to return to Senate. But after the election, President Campbell and Vice President Decker approached me about serving as Chief of Staff for student government. After thinking it over for a while, I enthusiastically said yes, and I'm very excited to get started in this role. For those of you who don't know what the Chief of Staff role entails, I'll explain that very quickly. There's basically kind of two primary functions to the role. One is advising the President on their duties on projects that they're working on. and keeping them informed about the cabinet. And then the second half is, supporting and managing the cabinet, and that, entails just giving advice, supporting whatever projects individual cabinet members or, groups of cabinet members have going on, and then helping them connect with Senate, which, as a former Speaker of the Senate, I intend to make a priority, because I think collaboration between cabinet and the Senate is something that's very, very important. I feel qualified to handle all of those duties. So with that, I will yield for questions if there are any.
Senator Vate.
Jacob, we started off Senate together, and it's been a wild ride. Election reform, rules committee, all of the COVID stuff, being on the COVID task force. I do have a question for you, though.
Oh my.
I believe, as someone that knows you, I can say you're very engaged and like to jump into new things. And at last count, I think we're on like a dozen committees, and have a thing with saying yes when people ask you if you want to do more stuff. With that trait in mind, what do your time commitments look like, and how do you think that's going to play into the position?
Yeah, so the chief of, I will have similar commitments. On top of, I guess, the 7-ish or 10-ish committees that I'm on and involvements that I have, I've also worked 20 to 25 hours a week at a part-time job, and been involved politically. So I feel pretty confident that I can, I guess, continue to handle a similar load to what I've handled for the past 2 or 3 years. So I feel like I've managed to commit a lot of time to this, to my positions in the past, and I think I can manage it in the future.
Okay, last question. What is the one thing in Senate you're going to miss the most?
I'd be lying if I said it's not going to be frustrating to, I guess, have to sit out the conversation a little bit. Speaking my mind is something I like to do. So, being a part of this discussion, being a part of Senate has been a really fantastic part of my experience at Iowa State. Students come to this place to express grievances, receive funding and support. I have seen students come here and cry and laugh, make memories. This is a very important place to me, and I've appreciated my time here. And so I'm definitely going to miss it, but on to new and different things.
Thank you for that. And again, Jacob's great. I think I'm going to sorely miss him in Senate, but I'm going to yield.
A little bit more discussion. Could you turn your placard, or just state your name? Perfect. Sorry about that. I'm still learning names.
Rizvik. Jacob, you talked briefly about this, but what ideas do you have to get Senate and Cabinet to collaborate with each other?
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. One of the things that I really want to do is, as Cabinet members are working on projects, and this is something that I'm going to make an effort to stay in tune with as throughout the whole year, keep up to date. I'd like to talk to every Cabinet member at least once a week, if not more, just check in on projects, where they're at, what their goals are, if they need any assistance. And part of that, I think, is going to be identifying the projects that they have that could entail or will entail Senate involvement. So if there is some project that, has some, maybe not coming from a sustainability point or from the sustainability director, getting them in touch with the sustainability director and the committee. If there's a project that I think that, maybe student initiatives needs to be involved, that's something that I would be happy to get them in touch with. If, they want to change something and that's going to require rules committee, then, get them in touch with the rules committee. I think engaging Cabinet members with Senate committees and senators throughout the year, connecting them with people of, similar mindsets or who have similar goals is something that I'm going to spend a lot of time doing. So that'll also entail me working very closely with Speaker Weathers and Vice Speaker Crabb to find out, if there's something going on in Cabinet, how can I bring this to Senate, and how can I keep Senate involved?
Thank you. I've known Jacob for quite a while, and I would say he's immensely qualified for this role, so I encourage everyone to vote yes, and I yield.
Vice Speaker Crabb.
All right. This is Mike. So I do have a couple of questions. I'll just do one. But President Campbell and Vice President Decker, they are implementing a new role this year called the Director of International Student Experience, and I'm really excited about this role. How do you plan on guiding and implementing them? Just because it is such a new role and it does dip into diversity and inclusion, which is really important this year.
Yeah, I'll be frank. I don't have a lot of experience in this area, and so one of the key things I want to do is help that new cabinet member find mechanisms for support and the information that they need. And I think that's going to be in part helping them work with the International Student Council and other existing mechanisms on campus and figure out where are the needs of students. Where can student government fill gaps? And so I'll be working with them. We also are hoping to have the director work very closely with the director of diversity and inclusion. And so I want to surround them with a team of people who, maybe already are providing services or are aware of services. And so that's something I'm going to be focused on, making sure that they're in contact with different things that exist. And then we're going to work throughout the year to figure out exactly what those needs are. And so that's one of the reasons I think we are starting this with an ad hoc position, is because we know that there's a need, but we want to identify the specific needs that student government can address, and so we can support this community. And I think that's going to be a little bit of what that position is this year, is kind of feeling out the community in Iowa State and finding out what exactly do we need and what can we do.
I just wanted to let you all know how important of a role this is for the next year. This is Ludwig's, I always call him Ludwig, I'm sorry. Ludwig's 4th year in student government. He's extremely excited, dedicated towards student government. This is kind of his life. He's always doing office hours. I am so excited. I remember when he told me that he was maybe thinking, and I was just so sad because he couldn't be a part of Senate, but he's going to do so well in the position of Chief of Staff. And we're going to miss you, but you're going to do wonderful. So,
thank you.
No more discussion. Okay, there's been a call to question. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? It's been a call for, or first we'll go into, there's been a call for unanimous consent, but we'll go into closing comments with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, perfect candidate. Any additional words would only go straight to his head, so I yield.
All right, there's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to confirming Ludwig to Chief of Staff unanimously? All right, congratulations. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to 2021-1-008SC, confirming a nominee to the Student Fees and Tuition Committee with Vice Speaker Crabb.
Yeah, we saw this bill up last week as well for a Senate position, but essentially they just work with student fees and how they are going to be spent. So I'll yield.
Are you yielding to me?
I yield to you, Ludwig.
Hello again. All right. So President Campbell has nominated me to serve on the Student Fee Committee. I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but the Fee Committee meets throughout the year. They work with departments and different offices on campus that receive a fee in some form from students. So that could be Thielen, that could be student government, that could be the different rec centers. I have worked at last year serving as speaker. I was a chief officer, so I was involved in some of the high-level discussions about where fees were, where the fee committee might be taking them, and kind of what was going on with the university. And so that's something that I was kind of able to keep tabs on last year. And so this year I was very interested in serving on the committee, and I'm very thankful to President Campbell for nominating me for this position. I guess to keep it short and simple, my priorities for the committee is to keep fees as low as possible in the upcoming and future years. I think right now, especially with, I think attending college is already getting more and more expensive in every other way through tuition. So raising fees in any unnecessary way it isn't something that students need right now. And so keeping them as low as possible while, not totally decimating any services that we have is the goal. And so, yeah, that's my objective, and I'll yield for questions if there are any.
Any discussion or questions for Chief of Staff Ludwig? I'm going to call the question. We'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Vice Speaker Crabb.
You're going to do great.
All right, there's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objections to confirming him unanimously? Great. Congratulations again. 2021-1-009 SC, confirming the nominee to the Cyride Board of Trustees with Vice Speaker Crabb.
Yeah, at this point, we're probably tired of seeing Ludwig, Chief of Staff Ludwig up there, but I'm excited for this one. There's 6 members on the board of the Cyride Board of Trustees. They oversee operation, management, control, and governance of the transit services in the Ames community. So I am going to yield to Chief of Staff Ludwig.
All right. Hello again. So I have served on the Cyride Board of Trustees for the last year, and I've also served as the board's representative to the Ames Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is, I think it's possibly the most bureaucratic organization I've gotten to work with over the last year. Very interesting if you like to read 40-page reports on the next 40 years of roads in Ames. But yeah, so I've represented Cyride on that board, and I've gotten to work this last year with the director and with other members of the board to get Cyride through what has been a very unique year and a very challenging year for the organization. And the next, I'm wanting to return to the board because I think the next couple years are going to be critical. Cyride's ridership is down about 2/3 from the previous fiscal year, which is a pretty big deal. We get a lot of our money from the federal government in the way of grants based off of our ridership, because Cyride has the 3rd highest per capita ridership in the country. It is New York, San Francisco, Ames, Iowa. So we have this fantastic, unique service. And when we lose that ridership, we risk losing around $3 million in federal grants, which we can't make up in other ways. And so over this next year, re-normalizing using Cyride, getting these students used to that, and then working with the university, the city, and student government to find a way to get Cyride back on its feet and keep moving forward is going to be very important. So I would yield for questions.
Senator Debate.
So to get this right, with the Ames Area Metropolitan Transit Board, you represent an organization, student government, to another board, that is the Cyride Board of Trustees, and then you represent that board to another board, being the AMTB?
It's AMPO, which is a fun name, AAMPO. It is a federally mandated board that is required to exist by the Department of Transportation for the Ames metropolitan area, which is a very imaginative phrase. So yes, I represent student government on a board, and then I represent that board and its agency on another board.
Bureaucratic indeed. Thank you for your answer.
Okay.
Senator Thornton.
How would you be planning on working with our student government PR team or PR committee to outreach Cyride, push Cyride on to new students?
Yeah, I think that's a conversation that I think I'd want to bring Barb Nealon on. She's the director of Cyride, figuring out exactly, what level. I don't think that there's really any harm in the PR team doing any sort of promotion for Cyride, and so maybe that's something we coordinate between Cyride and the PR committee. I think I'm hoping to have conversations with Barb Neal and other members of Cyride about, coordinating with new student services and Iowa State University to kind of get Cyride in front of new students and in front of existing students as we hopefully, very hopefully, return to a somewhat normal year next year.
Any other questions or discussion? I'm going to call the question. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objection to voting now? We'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Vice Speaker Crabb.
Once again, I think this is going to be something that Chief of Staff Ludwig is going to do really, really well, so I yield.
All right, going into a voting. Call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to confirming to the Cyride board unanimously? All right, congrats for the 3rd time.
Thank you.
Now we're moving on to 2021-1-014 SG, seating Senate members to Civic Engagement Committee with Senator Paulson.
Hello again. First, can I make a motion to add Senator Breck to that as well?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, basically same thing. I'm really excited about these applications. I think all of these senators are super qualified. They know a lot about civic engagement and want to make a difference, and I'd be really excited to work with them if they got nominated or accepted.
Yep, so we'll have to talk about the amendment that you proposed first. So you said add Senator Brecht?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Is there any objection to adding Senator Brecht? All right. Just added to the bill here, and then we're going on to discussion on the bill. Oh, yeah, discussion period for the bill. So did you want to continue to talk or?
No, I yield my time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. There's been a call to question. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? We'll go ahead and go into closing. There's an objection. Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, I invite the candidates to take the podium to speak. I think it's a good precedent to set that we interrogate and ask everybody questions. But we have to deal with my objection first.
All right, can everyone hear me? I'm Joe Zuber. I'm engineering senator. I really wanted to get involved with the committee just because I think it's really important that as young people we have the resources that we need in order to understand how to register to vote and all of the details that go into voting. I think it's really important that we're engaged politically and that we help to engage our students in a nonpartisan way. It can be difficult, especially because sometimes it feels like there's a really big divide in politics among partisan lines. So getting students involved in a nonpartisan way and encouraging, healthy discussion to sort of create environments that are not hostile politically is just a really important thing to me.
Hello, my name is Hope Brecht. I am a second-year student here at Iowa State, and I'm currently studying agricultural communications. I also am here representing the College of Ag and Life Sciences. I think civic engagement is super important. Obviously, one of the first things we think of when we hear civic engagement is voting, like we've heard. And I feel like voting is one of the most basic ways that we can become civically engaged, and so encouraging students to partake in those actions and giving them the resources to do so. But then I also think civic engagement expands past voting, and it also includes being involved in your communities. While that could be here at Iowa State or in Ames, this is our home for however many years we're here, so why not serve it to the best of our ability?
I'm Trinity, and I'm a junior, and I'm for apparel merchandising and design. That's my major, and I'm here for the College of Human Sciences. Why I want to be on this committee is, so I went to a really small town here in Iowa, and my high school was lucky enough to have a social studies teacher that when you turned 18 at our school, he made sure that you registered and that you were voting and that you carried your card around and that you showed literally every single teacher that you voted. So that is something I've always grown up with because of a teacher like him. And it was very surprising to come to Iowa State and have so many people that you meet be like, well, my teacher didn't really care, or we didn't really do any like volunteer opportunities and get involved in our own like hometown community. So I think something that's important though is that if they haven't gotten those life skills already in high school, like why not bring that to a college campus? Voting in general is important, and like they've said before, nonpartisan, like getting accurate information from both sides, both parties. That was another thing that I was very fortunate to have when I was in high school. They shared websites that would contain information over every single topic that all these candidates would have. Another thing too is when this past election was here, I had a lot of friends who had no idea how to vote locally, who was even running, not just for like their specific district for the Iowan government, but also like there's chief of justices that you have to vote for in Iowa. And I'm going to be honest too, I had no idea. I went and looked at the ballot and was like, okay, I don't know these names. I don't know who they are. So I think just informing everyone at like the Iowa State community all about this, how it works, promoting it and making sure that they're being actively involved in the community is really important, and just also not through voting, but volunteer opportunities as well. Okay, thanks.
Is there any questions? Discussion? I'm going to call the question. Is there a second? Any objections to voting now? We'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Senator Paulson.
Yeah, so you guys heard them talk. They're obviously very passionate about this position, and I'd be really excited to work with them. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and go into a vote. Unanimous consent has been called for. Is there any objection to confirming these nominees unanimously? Congratulations. We'll go ahead and go into 2021-1-017 SG, seating senators to the Student Initiatives Committee with Senator Debate.
So hello everyone again. Before I start, just a little explanation of what's happening here. We had way more applications for student initiatives than we have seats. As you might have seen, there is a bill in new business to expand the committee. However, that will only be seen next week. It'll go through rules to make sure it's consistent and everything. I think that's the best thing to do from a from a governmental standpoint. So if your name isn't on the bill and I talk to you, I most certainly plan on adding you to the committee next week, if and when the expansion bill passes. But I will still be sending out the when to meet to you, so that way you can sit in on the committee meeting even if you aren't officially seated. Now that being said, I'd like to first move the amendment on the screen and add the following names to the bill.
There's been a motion to add the amendment currently on the screen. There's been a second. Any objections to adding that amendment to the screen? All right, we'll go ahead. We go into a discussion period on the amendment.
Call the question.
I'm going to call the question. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded to add the amendment. Any objection to voting now? Call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? All right, amendment's been added.
Sweet. Yeah, if the nominees would please like to go up to the lectern and just talk about why they want to be on the committee. And while they're making it there, I just sort of went by who applied first, so if your name isn't on here, it doesn't mean I don't like you. Just saying.
Jennifer, hello. Where to start? Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Senator Thornton. I'm the design senator. And I would like to be on student initiatives because I think it's really dandy that you can just kind of like join a committee and do whatever you want. It's like the party committee. We just kind of get together and throw ideas around. That's what I've heard anyways. Brainstorm ideas, a way to improve campus, but kind of like draw ideas from the other committees as well. I'm also interested in joining diversity and inclusion because of things like this. I don't know, I've just heard that student initiatives is basically coming up with ideas on how to improve campus, but getting together with other students themselves, and it's really student driven. The ideas that they want to do, and you kind of outreach with students. That's it.
Hi, everyone. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jennifer Seth. I am the senator for Schilder University Village, or SUV for short. I use she, her pronouns, and I wanted to be on Student Initiatives Committee because having kind of watched a lot of the Senate meetings in the last year from the previous Senate, one of the things that, kind of became like a value of mine and how I approach student government is that I feel like, student government should be working to improve campus for all students. And to me, the way that I think that it is most valuable to do that is to work on projects that will directly benefit the students. So for example, things like the campus safety walk, which I participated in last week, was a great time. Nice and wet and rainy as well. That's really important because we are looking out for safety hazards for students and trying to make sure that campus is a place where our students can, know that they're not going to trip or something and break their leg. We don't want people breaking their legs. That's really bad. And also working on projects like the campus accessibility review. Unfortunately, when they did the walk last fall, I wasn't able to attend because I had 5 other meetings that day or something like that. But I think it's a really valuable project looking at, where there are gender neutral bathrooms on campus and, seeing locations where maybe it's harder for students who have, limited mobility to traverse campus. We want campus to be as safe and as accessible to everyone, and really improving the college experience through that. And so those are 2 things that I'm really excited about to work on in student initiatives. And additionally, the Give a Swipe program, I thought that was really great. If you're not familiar with that, you can donate your dining dollars and flex meals to students who are food insecure and who need it. And so that's a really good program, but I think it would be really cool to expand that out further. Having been the director of sustainability last year, we've had some projects come through dealing with food insecurity in the Ames community. And while the shop is a great resource for students to get food if they're food insecure, that doesn't include necessarily fresh produce. And so, having people donating dining dollars and flex meals can be an outlet for students to get maybe a healthier, more rounded diet as well if they're food insecure. So I guess what all of that is to say is that I've been watching student initiatives for a while and kind of seeing the project that they do. And I think that the things that they're working on are really beneficial to students. And I want to expand those projects and also work on some additional projects, maybe like a bike share program. I think that'd be pretty cool. People have been talking about it for a long time. So I think we should just do it. But yeah, I'll stop.
Joe Zuber of engineering again, and I'm really interested in getting involved with student initiatives because I think it's important that we do things that the students feel like they need, and accessibility is a huge part of that. I really am a huge advocate for these infrastructure projects to improve accessibility all around campus. Things like gender neutral restrooms. I'm aware of some gender neutral restrooms that were built to be gender neutral but are not utilized in a gender neutral way. So I think that making sure that, especially if we have something built to be gender neutral, that we're using it in that way. And as well as just plenty of accessibility things around campus. Things that come to mind are making sure that we have adequate lighting on campus and ensuring that things like crosswalks are able to be used by everyone, no matter their mobility.
Hi, I'm Sonia Paulson. I'm a UROC senator. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I applied to be on this committee because I love that it's a committee that you can directly talk to students and see what they want us to work on and do stuff with that. Some of my ideas included kind of how Senator Seth talked, expanding the Give a Swipe program. I'd love to be able to somehow have it instead of dining dollars or flex meals. I'd like it to apply to just the meals that students buy so that it doesn't necessarily take away from students' money, if that makes sense. I'd also really like to expand or make new clothing drives for students so that they can have cheaper options to get clothing, as well as not worry about, and also just more sustainable as well. But yeah.
My name is Cody McCready. I am a history and secondary education major, and I am the IFC senator here on campus. So basically, the reason I want to join this committee is because I've been talking to Evade multiple hours. I've probably annoyed the ever-loving heck out of him. We've come up with some great ideas. With the IFC Diversity and Inclusion Chair is something that me and him have talked about. He sent me the Constitution with that regard, and I've talked to multiple members of the IFC organization, and we're going to try to get that done. They already have a committee set up within the organization, so already set the ball rolling with this. I ran my platform when I was running, that student running for students, and I feel like this is the best way to give back to the students is being there for them, listening to their ideas, and giving back to them. So thank you.
Good evening. For those of you that haven't met me yet, my name is Devin DeVore, and I'm serving as a Cal senator for the upcoming term. There's really not a whole lot I can say in addition to what a lot of these people have said. One thing that really sparked my interest in the Student Initiatives Committee is that I like to get things done. And if you go look at the Student Initiatives website on the page on the website, that's at the very top of the page. And I think that really well describes what this committee does, and that's putting things to action. Like some of the other senators have talked about, I'm a huge proponent of the Give a Swipe program. I think that's something that really needs to be advocated on and expanded. I also would really like to increase the amount of locally sourced foods that we're using in our dining centers, as well as hopefully expanding that idea into the Greek communities as well. Thank you, and look forward to hopefully being confirmed.
Well, I don't think Senator Hayes unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but I can speak to Senator Hayes's track record on the committee. They were vice chair for all of the last semester, and they've done a great job, especially helping us with stuff like the safety walk and the Give a Swipe program. So they are more than qualified. And just as you've probably seen, all of the individuals that just came up are really engaged. I've spent at least 30 minutes, if not more, talking to all of them about their goals, and they really have a vision for campus. They're really engaged, and they have the drive to get things done. But I do encourage all of you to ask questions. I yield.
Call to question. Is there a second? Is there any objection to voting now? All right, we'll go into closing comments with Senator Advait.
Waive.
All right, now going into voting period. I'm going to call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? All right, nominees have been confirmed unanimously. (2021-1-016) SG seating senators to Rules Committee with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, if my nominees would like to approach the podium. Everybody on this list is excellent. I invite you guys to give a brief explanation of your goals and your qualifications for this committee.
I guess I'll go first. Hello, everyone. My name's Advait. You've probably seen me before. This is my third year in Senate and my third year on Rules Committee as well. I've had some really great times working with the rules and working with ways. The rules are the framework by which this organization runs, and talking to other members of Rules Committee to make sure this organization and the rules can be as efficient as they can be, that we're setting up the framework to help senators and help projects come to fruition, and just setting everyone up for success is something I really enjoyed. In the past, I've worked with such projects as election reform, court reform. I was also part of the COVID-19 task force and part of the group that sort of built parts of Chapter 15 that we saw earlier tonight. And in terms of what's coming up for the next year, I'm just excited to work with everyone here and take on some other projects, such as establishing Senate rules of order and perhaps looking at our committee structure. But I think that's all for now. Please ask questions if you do have any.
Hi, my name is Victoria Philippi. I'm a UROC senator, and I was approached by both Speaker Weathers and Vice Speaker Crabb on applying for the Rules Committee, and I took it into consideration, and I applied for it, and I do think I can add to the effectiveness and efficiency of the Rules Committee, because the Rules Committee, it's what keeps Senate running, and due to my background in government, specifically state government at the Iowa House of Representatives, I have a pretty good idea of how rules work and what rules need to be set in place in order for student government to run greatly. So, thanks.
Hello, my name is Jaden Ulrich. I'm the current Residence Hall Senator.
And in the past, or I guess I applied for Rules Committee just because I have a huge interest in bylaws and constitutions in the past. I've already rewritten 2 constitutions and 2 bylaws for other organizations I've been a part of. Dawson also approached me about this position, and I'm really happy to, and hopefully excited to be able to work with him and make sure that student government continues to run very effectively and the best that we can. I know last session or last term for everyone, there might have been some gray area with some constituency groups and senators representing them. And I'd like to, that'd be kind of my big goal in Rules Committee, is to be able to put down some bylaws. So if future problems like that do occur, then that would, something would be able to be done about that. And I'm also very versed in Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. And that's all.
Hey, I'm Senator Thornton. I applied to Rules because I figured it would help me learn Parley Pro very quickly. I also have a knack for memorizing codes and policies. I have architecture codes memorized, and I still know the prices from the last job I worked when I was like 17 memorized. So I feel like I have a knack for kind of memorizing the bylaws, hopefully very soon. I feel like Rules would be really important, obviously, for Senate to keep us going smoothly. And I really look forward to being part of this committee.
Thank you. So I guess some of my background in working on rules, constitutions, and bylaws, I have also worked on reforming and overhauling some pretty large constitutions and bylaws documents for other organizations I've been a part of. I've served on numerous reform committees for those organizations as well. And then just like I'd like to echo some of the other good points I heard from the other senators about increasing efficiency in student government, and as well as eliminating gray areas and just allowing us to work as productively as we can, but do so in a way that best represents Iowa State students.
Is there any discussion or questions for any of the candidates? Is there a call to question? Question has been called for and seconded. Any objection to voting now? We'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Senator Vate. Or, excuse me, Speaker Weathers. Okay, Speaker Weathers waives the closing comments. We'll go ahead and go into a voting period for all the nominees. Unanimous consent has been called for. Any objection to confirming all the nominees unanimously? Okay. Congratulations. Moving on to 2021-1- did we in 018? 018, confirming a nominee for the Director of Information Technology with Speaker Weathers.
Jacob, if you'd like to approach the podium, and I'll go ahead and let him speak.
Hello, everyone. I am Jacob Kahn. Pronouns are he, him, his. I am currently a senior in computer engineering and concurrently getting my master's in cybersecurity engineering. I've served previously as the director of IT this past administration, and before that, I was also a senator representing the College of Engineering. For director of IT, it's something I really enjoy doing. It's a lot of maybe less technical, like creating websites, but utilizing WordPress to better assist not only students, but also members of student government. Mostly over my past term, I made a lot of bespoke web pages for various things, committees. Women's Week was a big one, voting information for the Civic Committee. All that I was responsible for in terms of creating the website, putting the information on there. Additionally, I'm in charge of sort of handling some of the YouTube stuff. Obviously, our techs, they run everything and very much appreciated. But that goes into my points of what I want to do with the platform moving forward, and that is making things more accessible to students. With the website, there are things that could be done to be made more accessible, which I definitely want to encourage other people that post on the website to follow as well, including transcripts for any graphics that are made. Sure, we have these very wonderful looking graphics from all these talented folks doing graphic design, but if the text isn't selectable for people that may not be able to read or may not be able to see for whatever reason, they cannot select that and then have it as text to speech. So having a transcript for said graphics would be very beneficial in allowing that in just one of the many ways. Additionally, I would like to better organize the student government YouTube videos because there are videos besides just live stream VODs. There are fireside chats, there are all these previous webinars from Women's Week and other diversity and inclusion seminars, and I'd like to put those into various playlists so then people can view them at their leisure. Also, something I did a lot of these past few semesters, Zoom and WebEx. I'm basically a pro at Zoom and WebEx now. We've been using it for everything. However, just because we'll be moving to more in-person events and stuff like that, I still think that the Zoom webinar at least has value as something to being more accessible to students, because even if they can't make it in person, they can still watch online, and obviously the VOD on the YouTube channel previously. So those are just a few plans I have rattling around, but obviously now times are a bit hectic because all the new positions filling and being vacated, filling, etc. Just updating the website so it's as current as possible. Please ask any questions if you have them. Love answering questions, love talking about this stuff. So with that, I open it for questions.
Senator Seth?
Sorry, my mic just kind of gave out there. I just wanted to start by saying that I've been working with Jacob Kahn for like 2 years now, and this man is amazing. As he once said during a cabinet meeting, web design is my passion, and this is definitely true. I've seen it in action. He's always been like super willing to help if any of us have like, you know, any like edits that we want to make to the website. Like I remember like my cabinet profile and like the sustainability committee like webpage on the student government website was just kind of struggling a little bit, and he figured it out and fixed it for me, and so that was really nice to help make that more easier for students to navigate. I did want to ask you a question, I guess, Director Kahn. What are some things that you think you could improve upon moving forward from last year? So like, what are some things that you think you want to do better this year that maybe you were lacking in last year, if any?
Yes, absolutely. Definitely raising awareness for accessibility on the site of, like as I previously mentioned, the graphics, making those a bit more accessible. But then also more internally, something I would like to start implementing if I am confirmed is just right now, and I'm in charge of various passwords for various accounts. I'd like to get those changed at least once a cycle. Just pretty standard stuff in terms of like security. Then I'd be discussing it with myself and the newly confirmed chief of staff so that we could keep each other in the loop just for transitioning forward and whatnot. And then also something I could have done better is probably just updating, trimming a lot of the fat of the website. There's still a lot there that I would like to cut down on. Definitely like deprecated pages, various members that I still have that they show up in the SEO. Like if you just type in their name, student government, they may show up despite them no longer being a part of student government. Sort of handling that, so if people don't want their contact information still being available, then I can definitely fix that in the future.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Senator Thornton?
Do you have any plans to make changes to the website to make it easier for people to engage with student government, whether that means to run for a position or to vote?
Yes. There are typically pages that I've put up that in terms of like applications for getting involved. There's a whole Get Involved tab. And then there are also, there's some web forms which allow for comment to be sent for specific committees. I would like to broaden that so it's just sort of more maybe student government in general. And then also something that I was working on last year with Senator Ludwig was finding a way to have all the minutes and sort of the outlines of the bills and whatnot from previous Senate meetings on the website. We just ran into sort of a privilege issue there because it was using the @iastate.edu as opposed to Gmail, and the WordPress didn't really like that. So just I think I've figured that out pretty well, but it's just a means of implementing it now. But those are just some approaches I'd be willing to make. And then obviously I'm open to suggestions. A lot of the things wouldn't be on the website unless it's brought to my attention. Anyways, my job mainly that I want to do is help facilitate people's fantastic ideas to be put on the website and then help make it a reality.
I yield.
Vice Speaker, Senator Debate.
Right. Hello, nominee Khan. I first want to say Jacob's fantastic. I've worked with him for 3 years, but I know you touched on this a little bit, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on so something I've heard from students is if you go to the website, right there. Oh God. There we go. Yeah, something I've heard is, just to touch off of what Senator Thornton said, is overhauling the website a little. So like the first thing when you get there is a big slideshow of us. It's just pictures of student government members instead of something like meeting minutes or links to the committees. And also in terms of meeting minutes, I've heard my constituents complain about like prompt uploads of the minutes not being available or hard to find. And also stuff I've heard from other student government members last year at least was when they went to the website to look at the bylaws, they'd be like 2 bylaw versions and they'd be confused about that. I know you touched on this a little, but just wanted to hear about your thoughts on the issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously with the main page navigation, it's something that for web pages, very important, like you said. Touching on the pictures you mentioned, maybe getting those updated. I know I was speaking with the previous administration, they wanted to get some more current pictures, but that didn't exactly shake out in terms of getting more photos. But definitely sort of making the posts more prevalent on that homepage. That's where a lot of the new information from various committees and senators come from that I've found. And also utilizing the pop-up, as annoying as they may be, it's definitely a good way to get someone's attention and letting them know of something that is happening within student government. And as previously mentioned, I did figure out the sort of conflicting issues that was going on with the minutes and all that stuff right there. So that would be good. And then for the bylaws of different versions, that may just be an example of just 2 separate web pages that may not be updated concurrently, which is an issue, but it's something that I definitely comb through the site every so often and trying to update, trying to find these discrepancies and fixing that. It's definitely something that's constantly going on though.
Thank you so much for that. And in terms of the YouTube channel, I'm not sure how much control you have, but something I've heard from applicants on the committee is having more closed captions and sort of working those out. Could you speak to that a little, perhaps, in terms of accessibility?
Yes. To my knowledge, YouTube did have like auto-generated captions. While not perfect, they're fairly adequate. However, I think that's sort of up in the air as to whether or not they'll continuing support for that. So that is definitely something of concern. But something that might help to address that is having a link in the description that would probably link to the minutes for that corresponding Senate meeting. I think that'd be the next best thing in terms of that. So hopefully, if not, then we can possibly look into maybe some sort of software that would help with auto-generating these transcripts.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I guess I could speak to Jacob's technical abilities and technical prowess. He knows his way around the website. He knows about all the plugins we use, be it Elementor or all the stuff we need with WordPress to keep the website going. Technologically fantastic individual. also, this is his third year on student government now. We started off together as engineering senators, and then he jumped out to cabinet, and again, really fantastic. He's been really helpful anytime I needed help with the website. So, and I think he's also very aware of the areas we need to improve on. So I can't think of a better person for the job. I yield.
Senator Yang.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions for you. Are you responsible for the updating meeting minutes on the webpage?
The way that I had envisioned that working in sort of the minutes is a lot of the minutes for all the individual committees, those would be done by their committee heads. But as opposed to the Senate, I usually work with the speaker or vice speaker in terms of getting those updated. But then also that goes back into the issue that I had of what we had previously was basically just had an embedded Google Drive that would just automatically update as we did with the student government Google Drive. But as I said, it's that at iastate.edu. That sort of makes things a bit wonky. So it's sort of my intention to work with either the speaker or the vice speaker and use the student government account that I have access to, which is the @gmail.com, which would work. And just basically we're cloning the repository that is already existent now. So it'd just be a reflection of that. So then it would be updated in real time.
Okay, so that would fix the issue of like the last update being from like February 2020.
Yes.
Okay. As with the directory, there's some student government members on there that are no longer in office. Are those supposed to be removed?
Yes, they will be removed. It's, as I said, it is a very hectic time of year. Any new or returning senators, they probably received an email asking for them to set up a profile and do that stuff. And then after I feel that I've gotten all those from there, I go through the users and sort of change the privileges and capabilities of the folks that are no longer part of student government doing that. So it's an ever-evolving process. And a tool that I utilized a lot last year was the MIS, which is basically just a big thing in the student drive that has the contact info of basically everyone on student government.
Okay, I don't mean to sound aggressive, but it may come off as that way. But
sure.
Why weren't these things fixed earlier?
Well, if I say there is, as I deal with a lot of issues that other people in student government bring to me at the time that are a bit more pressing, or scheduling or creating web pages for various events. Women's Week was a large one. There was the voting information for a civic engagement page, and then just sort of various troubleshooting as well, making posts for all the committees and such. It's just that unfortunately those other things sort of fell on the back burner, but it's definitely something that's my priority now. And I will hopefully have updated as soon as possible.
Okay, so this is primarily a priorities issues, I guess, or just time, right?
Yes.
Okay, so following up on that, what do you think of the idea of having one or several IT assistants so that you can perhaps delegate tasks?
That'd be fun. That might be definitely appreciated. I think I could feasibly work with whatever I was doing pretty well. However, something I could see that shaken out would be maybe if each committee had some sort of IT tech person. So it'd sort of act as a technical representative for them. That would be definitely good. And then I could meet with them every so often. And if people want to learn how to use Element or use WordPress, talk to me. With the previous director of IT, Shabam, he did a fantastic job of making the site. A lot of it is plug and play with all the templates he's made, but it's just for your basic posts and updates and whatnot. So definitely educating more committee members, that could go with that very good suggestion that Senator Yang.
Okay, thank you. That was awesome. I yield.
Senator Anderson.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on something. So I have contacted Jacob Kahn before, like about updating the website, and he did it almost immediately. So I think a lot of the issues that we're coming to here with like, this isn't working and this isn't working, like it just needs to be more directly brought to his attention, and he'll definitely fix it. I have no doubt in my mind that he's the ability to do that and will continue to do that. So I just wanted to voice my support for him, and I have strong confidence that he will do a great job.
Senator Thornton.
Point of information. Is this a paid position?
It is not a paid position.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
There's been a call to question. It's been seconded. Is there any objection to voting now? All right, now we're going to go to Speaker Weathers with closing comments. No closing comments. We'll go ahead and vote. There's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to voting? There is an objection. All right, so we'll go ahead and go into a roll call vote or placard vote for this one. So vote yes, no, or abstain. And I'll start with Adagarla. And oh, yeah, sorry, placard vote. So vote yes, no, or abstain. We'll begin with yes. All right, and then if you're serving as a proxy for someone, could I go around? I'll just go to the proxies and you can let me know. Adagarla. And then Martinez, which would be Advates. Lost communication, okay. No. Okay, so we did yes, now no. We're voting no, okay. And then any abstentions? Okay, so of a vote of to 21 to 1 to 0, the nominee is confirmed.
Thank you.
So there was 22 to 1 to 1, excuse me. There was an abstention because one of the proxies lost communication. So now we're going to move on to 2021-1-019 SC, confirming a nominee for Director of Affordability with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, Julie's already taken the stand, so I'll let her speak.
All right. Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Julie Anderson. I am a junior in agriculture and society and political science, and I have been involved in student government for the past year as a senator, serving on legislative ambassadors and sustainability committee. I am super excited for this role. One of the main points that President Campbell and Vice President Decker ran on was financial success. And so there's a lot of room for projects with this, and I'm super excited to work on this with them and other directors for collaboration. I will open up to any questions.
Is there any questions for the nominee on being nominated for Director of Affordability? Senator Seth?
So I just want to take a minute to talk a little bit about Julie Anderson. It's all good things. Don't look so scared. So she was a member of Sustainability Committee last year, as she mentioned. As the former Director of Sustainability, you know, I was very impressed by Julie's initiative and how passionate she was about the projects that she was working on. She went to Finance Committee meeting with me to get that library recycling project off the ground. That was really fun and nice. 4 p.m. on a Tuesday meeting. But she has always been super engaged during Sustainability Committee meetings, asking questions, wanting to know more, wanting to understand what's going on, and has always worked super hard on the committee. She was also on Outreach Subcommittee of Sustainability Committee, so she would help us develop social media posts on our Instagram, which you should follow. And she was just overall a really, really great committee member, and I have absolutely no doubt that she will do an amazing job as the Director of Affordability in Student Government. So I would urge all of you to vote yes for Julie, because she was awesome in sustainability, and I know that she's going to be just as awesome now. I yield.
Senator Debate. Senator Crab, or Vice Speaker Crab.
Yeah, so I was wondering, so for Director of Affordability this next year, something that I would be really excited to see is some diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Do you have any ideas that you're going to put forward for some of these communities that might go through financial burdens because of their identities?
Yeah, I would say that there are a lot of projects that could touch on that, but one specifically coming up would be encouraging financial literacy through Financial Literacy Month, and encouraging some of those communities to work on that, like availability through Canvas, and then also just reaching out to them and asking, because personally, as someone who is not a member of the BIPOC community, I don't know exactly like what I can do best to help them. So just reaching out and asking, and taking whatever they say to heart and working on that throughout the year.
Thank you so much, Julie. And then, yeah, there are a whole bunch of resources for affordability regarding the BIPOC community, such as like the MLK grant. So I'm just really excited to see you work on that next year. So you're gonna do wonderful. Thank you. I yield.
Any other discussion or question for the nominee?
Call the question.
This has been called a question. Is there a second? Any objections to voting now? We'll go to Senator Weathers for closing comments. No closing comments. Going into a vote. There's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to confirming Julie Anderson to the role of Director of Affordability unanimously? All right. Congrats. (2021-1-020) SC, confirming a nominee for Finance Director with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, Mason Zastro, come on down. This is a big position, so I encourage everyone to ask him questions. He's going to be the one educating us on basically the most important job of student government for the year to come.
Thank you. So my name is Mason Zastro. I am going to be a senior next year in political science, philosophy, and sociology. I'm hoping to get a minor in ethics, but I haven't declared that yet. So I've been in student government for 2 years in Senate. Before that, I was a representative in IRHA, member of the Walls-Wilson Hall Council, and I was president my freshman year. The last 2 years, I've been serving on Finance Committee. This past year, I also served on Rules. I got a little bit of a laundry list as well as now. Chief of Staff Ludwig. I also served on the Open and Affordable Education Committee, that's a university committee, the City of Ames Campus Community Commission, and the Faculty Senate Curriculum Committee. So I've been pretty much involved in every area of student government, going as far as Ames. I really care about finances with student government. I was also vice chair of Finance Committee last year. That's probably important too. I have some ideas with what we can do with the future of Finance Committee. Previously, at-larges on Finance Committee have been people who come to our meetings and they listen and they vote based on whether things fit rules that were made with the previous Finance Committee, with the previous at-larges. And I would like to give them a more expanded role, having them actively reach outward towards groups, so that they can act as liaisons to the community, and groups can say, I know somebody on Finance Committee, and then if they have a finance question, that way they already know somebody who they can reach out to. And I think giving that kind of the first step in the right direction, to letting clubs know that their Finance Committee and the finance process in student government is accessible to them, I think is going to be a really significant way that we can get more clubs involved in the funding process, because we have a lot of money for things like the events account that currently goes unspent. I'm really excited for questions. Also, if you don't know what questions to ask, because a lot of you are new faces and I'm really glad that you guys are here, feel free to ask me questions about the funding process in the first place, if that can kind of spur your curiosity about what a good finance director would look like. So yeah, looking forward to any questions you guys might have.
I'm going to go ahead and recognize Finance Director Class, almost former Finance Director Class.
Yeah, almost former. I just really wanted to sing Mason's praises. I've worked with him for the past 2 years on Finance Committee, one being a senator with him, and then this year being Finance Director. Mason is incredibly qualified, incredibly passionate about this, and will work super hard. It's a big role. This person also serves on the Student Fee and Tuition Committee. They serve on various boards in the MU if they so choose. I have probably sunk about 20 hours plus into this job every week. It's countless emails that you get. It's paperwork that has to get signed by Sophia and other people. And I know that Mason is up for the task. I am really excited to see everything that he can do. This was really, it's a position similar to Chief of Staff where you kind of help every other project that's going on. So the more stuff you do, the busier he will be. And I'm sure that he is up for the task. So I just really encourage you to, one, ask a lot of questions because this is a very important role. And I was confirmed with 0 questions. So I would love to see if Mason got at least one. But then also, two, I just really want you to understand how important this is, but how qualified Mason is for this role.
Senator or Vice Speaker Crabb.
Hi, Mason. I do have a question. So there's no returning senators that are on finance at the moment. How do you plan on bringing in a completely new group of senators that don't know anything about the Finance Committee and how it runs?
Well, I would like to correct you a little bit. Our man Armand Gupta was an at-large first semester of last year, and then he had a conflict for second semester. So we do have one person coming back who knows a little bit, if he chooses to return, and if you don't, I understand. I would like to give a little bit of hype for the impact that Finance Committee has. We see, in total, we just passed the big picture bill a few weeks back, and it was something in the area of $2.5 million that student government disperses. We have a student activity fee of around $38 per student that accumulates, and over time, we spend that money and we allocate it out. And we have a very serious, tangible impact on campus through Finance Committee. And so there's kind of 2 general things that Finance Committee does. The first thing that we do is we say, here are the rules in front of us. Does this fit? And we'll get bills and we'll get initiatives and events that clubs come to us and want us to fund in some way. And we say, how can we fund this event so that it can be as successful as it can be? And then the second thing that Finance Committee does is it decides what those rules are going to be in the future. And that is where the people who are on Finance Committee really make a huge impact, deciding what it is in the future that we're going to get funded, what we're going to allow to get student fee dollars, what the general landscape of funding looks like, because changes from year to year. Sometimes it's stuff as small as, I remember we had a lengthier conversation than it needed to be, probably about deciding whether or not we were going to fund trips to Hawaii. And even after we decided that, how that sentence was going to be worded was probably a 10-minute conversation. But there is a lot more serious stuff. Do we fund pre-professional clubs? Do we fund clubs that are funded by academic departments? And that affects dozens of clubs on campus. A couple years ago, we had a discussion over whether or not clubs can be funded that aren't open to all ISU students. And that would mean we would be able to fund Greek clubs, for example, because currently they have a bid process. So these are the kinds of things that you can do on Finance Committee. It's going to be hard getting into it. We have a lot of rules, we have a lot of procedures, but it's a really exciting thing that has a really big impact on campus.
Thank you, Mason. I think Mason's going to do an absolutely wonderful job. Just seeing him in the past 2 years working with finance, he has been incredible. So I yield.
Senator Dvait.
Yeah, again, there are placards. Oh, great. Just wanted to say the finance director is a paid position. I believe they get a 3/4 scholarship. So please do ask questions. They lead the finance committee. and they're basically the contact point for everyone that wants to get funded, more or less. If a club member in engineering comes up to me and asks me questions about finance, I'm going to be sending them on to the finance director. So that being said, I can tell you, not to sound like a broken record, but Mason's great. I've spent 4 years working with him. We started off in IRHA together, spent 2 years on Senate. Mason's like that special unicorn that serves on Rules Committee and Finance Committee. So not only does he have a really good understanding of our financial structure, he's also really well versed with the rules after spending 1 year with us last year. And I feel like if you have a question, there's not a lot of finance-related questions Mason can answer for you. And also, he has a really cool tie, so I'm going to suggest all of you vote yes. But do ask questions as well. I yield.
Senator Seth.
Hi, Mason. Happy to see you standing up there. A little sad that you might not be in Senate. But as you know, the last year's been really hard because of COVID. And as a member of some other student organizations on campus, we've and many other organizations have really been struggling with membership and supporting the club and getting people involved and getting people wanting to be part of the club. And so I just wanted to ask how you plan to support smaller, student organizations. So, those student organizations that are not Dance Marathon, that have maybe like 20 people, but, like those 20 people or, that small group of people are really invested in the club. How do you plan to support those organizations who have probably been really, really negatively impacted by COVID, especially like multicultural organizations and LGBTQIA plus organizations, that might be on the smaller side that have really been struggling in the past year?
Yeah, so the first thing with that is that I think my initiatives would help with is having at-larges and senators on Finance Committee actively reach out to clubs. Because there is such a high rate of turnover within student organizations, a lot of the times we'll have people come to us during the course of the year saying, well, last year's treasurer, that guy was trouble. But me, I'm going to be here. And then 2 years down the road, there's somebody from the same organization saying that the previous treasurer was the problem. And that high level of turnover makes it so it's really difficult for institutional knowledge to build within a student organization. So what we can do as Finance Committee is reach out to those clubs and let them know that we're a resource for them. And that way, nobody's getting glossed over just because treasurer has a hiccup or they've been acting as the treasurer, but they're not registered in the student organization database as the treasurer, so they're not getting emails about annuals. So that's the first way. The second way I think is a more long-term strategy is I would be very, very hesitant reducing the student activity fee. I also don't want to raise it, don't get me wrong. But thinking 7 or 8 years down the road, COVID aside, we're expecting a decline in enrollment, a very serious decline in enrollment. That's going to make it hard for us to maintain clubs that have been around for a long time. We've already seen clubs like Ethos Magazine that's been around for a few years. They've dissolved now. They're not around anymore because they couldn't get people to join their club. So my first concern is making sure that every club that's on campus right now is going to be here in 5 years. Because beyond any of us, the traditions that build up with a club, the organizational structures, the events that they have every year, those are going to be around longer than any of us are. So I think we have a vested interest in making sure that we can continue to fund those organizations to get through this rough patch until Iowa State has increasing enrollment again, to where we don't have to be super worried every single year about, is this club going to survive?
Yeah, I think that's a great answer to my question. I agree with the sentiment that I really want all of the clubs that are here right now to remain. For some students, like the clubs that they're in, like that's like the best part of the college experience for them. And so I'm really happy to hear that you also echo that sentiment and understand the importance that clubs hold for many students on this campus. So I appreciate that answer and I will yield.
Senator Goff.
I just want to preface this by saying I was really excited to see that you were going to be or potentially be the finance director, former Senator Zastro, and I think you could not have picked a better person for this position. But I did want to ask you a question. Since we've been talking about the possibilities for adding diversity, equity, inclusion chairs to committees such as, with the Director of Affordability, how do you see that would be beneficial, or what would you want that to look like to benefit the Finance Committee?
Yeah, so I've talked about this, or I've thought about this a lot over the past few weeks because that is something that the previous administration recommended we implement. So something that a lot of people here don't know, even returning senators, there's currently an organization for sports clubs that we fund in this kind of separate, hazy, murky way, and it's called Sports Club Council, and they have this one advisor. And he kind of coordinates their funding. And if they have any questions, he's the guy that they go directly to. And this past year, we had a number, it was about $150,000. And we went and we said, we're going to give you guys this much money. And then they kind of honed down their budgets, and they all worked as like a parliamentary body. It was a really weird thing to see. But so I think that there are existing community resources. Ames Black Lives Matter is one that comes to mind, that act as areas that multicultural groups come together. But that's something that I would like one of the at-larges to do, is to specifically focus on one of the at-larges or one of the senators, to specifically focus on the diversity and inclusion clubs, and to actively reach out to them and to make sure that they know the resources that student government has available to them.
I think that's a great answer. Thank you so much.
Senator Gupta?
Hello? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So I will also say that on my brief time, I was quite intimidated by how much Zastro knew. It was quite surprising, just the breadth of knowledge he had. So my question is a little niche. So hopefully you can give me a good answer. On the PNC, one of the things that we can't fund is food for clubs, right? Unless it's multicultural. And so I know, at least with the few organizations that I'm a part of, like, food is a really good recruiting tool. Like, everyone, likes free food or free drinks or something like that. So do you find that kind of rule in the PNC could be limiting, like, clubs' abilities to recruit and incentivize people to come to clubs?
Yeah, I think I would definitely like to keep it in PNC that we don't fund food that's non-ethnic, because we fund advertisement for clubs in other ways. We have kind of just like a general package. Everybody who comes through annual allocations, we give it to if it's not already included in their budget. And it's one mass email, one SAC flyer distribution, and $60 worth of printing. And so that'll give clubs an opportunity to put themselves out around campus. And especially in the coming year when there are more people on campus who will see those bulletin boards, I think that'll make a larger impact than it did this year when a lot of people didn't come to classrooms. The reason that I would want to leave that out is because I think that if we did include that, that would be a really significant impact on our budget. What I would say is the events account is one that has been really underused in the past couple of years. 2 years ago, I Love Ames came through it, which is an event that connected the campus and the community. And then this last year, the Rodeo Club came through it to host their annual rodeo event. And the events account isn't bound by PNC. So I don't have it in front of me, but off the top of my head, the restrictions on the events account is that the events must be entertaining or social in nature, and they must be free to all students. So if you have a significant enough recruiting event that's entertaining or social in nature, and that enough people come to, that it can be considered kind of a Iowa State-wide attraction, then I think that's definitely something that we should be using the events account for more.
Okay. My follow-up to that, interestingly enough, because I didn't know about the events account, how do you think that we could show clubs, because we got so many of them, that there is this funding available. Again, the clubs that I'm part of, they don't even know about stuff like this until I told them, like, hey, there's actually money you guys can get. Is this like an outreach issue? Do you, like, besides like senators reaching out to their constituents and reaching out to their clubs, do you see other ways that you could maybe advertise finance committee and what we can offer them? And then also maybe like when folks who are getting their treasurers training, maybe that's something, a place where we can put in that, hey, like there's a finance committee. What do you think of that?
I've never thought before about putting something about student government funding in the treasurer training. I think that's a really good idea, and that just occurred to me. So I don't totally know what I think about it yet, but I really like that.
Cool.
I do think it's an outreach issue, because previously we also had the excellence account that got removed at one of the last meetings of the previous session, but that was a totally different funding process from annual allocations. So as just kind of a preface, so we fund things according to our priorities and criteria, which is set in the fall of the fiscal year prior to the year that it's used. So we fund things during annual allocations, which is in the spring of every year for the following fiscal year, and a fiscal year starts in the summer. So you can think of it just like funding for a school year. And the different funding processes we have, some of them use PNC and some of them don't. So the events account doesn't. The formerly existing excellence account didn't, but it had different criteria that was required. And typically, we only fund like regular clubby things through special allocations and annual allocations, both of which are PNC required. So I do think it's a bit of an outreach issue. I think it's also kind of an internal issue for us, because I'm thinking about the Get Funded page on the website right now. I don't know if it mentions the executive or the excellence account or the events account at all. So that's something that I would like to look into more in the future, because that is an underused account, and part of it probably is because it's not really put out in front of the organizations that would be using it.
Thank you. I yield my time.
Senator Thornton.
In this position, do you have to network with the ISU Foundation, and do you already have experience doing so?
I've not worked with the ISU Foundation before, no. Finance director in class is shaking his head as if I do not need to work with them.
Okay, I yield.
Question has been called for and seconded. Is there any objections to voting now? All right, we'll go ahead and move into closing comments with Senator Weathers, Speaker Weathers. He waives the closing comments. We'll go ahead and go into a voting period on confirming the finance director. We'll go ahead and go into a placard vote for that. Unanimous consent has been called for. Is there any objection to voting unanimously? All right. Congratulations, finance director.
Thank you, everyone. (2021-1-022) SC, confirming a nominee for Senior Director of Communications with Speaker Weathers.
Yep, the nominee's already approaching the podium, so I will yield.
Hello, everyone. If we have not met yet, my name is Lydia Johnson. I'm studying agricultural communications and journalism and mass communications with a minor in general business. And I'm honored to be nominated for this position as the Senior Director of Communications. So I guess my vision of this position is to serve as a liaison between the work that this group is doing, the three branches of government, to the students and those outside to kind of promote those events. So I hold some experience in holding professional internships at a Midwest news station doing radio broadcasting and journalism, as well as a marketing internship with a national insurance agency doing a lot of social media work that individual agents are able to pull those graphics and copy to post on their specific channels. So kind of giving them the content to promote the programs that we implement. So I guess with that, kind of my vision within this position would be to, like I said, serve as that liaison and have strong communication between the great initiatives that are occurring here and the work that you are doing, the programs that are occurring, and then translating that to our students and those outside of student government.
Are there any questions or discussion for the nominee for Senior Director of Communications? Senator Seth.
Hi, Lydia. Thank you for being here tonight. So I just kind of wanted to ask, just for a little bit of context, Anna Olson was the last Senior Director of Communications, and she did a fantastic job. She rose the follower count on the Instagram for student government. I think it was like 20%. It was significant. It was a lot. She did a really great job and was managing I don't know, all of these crazy projects. Her cabinet slides were always full of stuff. And so, kind of keeping in mind with that consistent outreach that Eliana and Anna did all year last year, how do you plan to maybe continue the development that has occurred in terms of the social media page gaining more followers, and how do you also plan to continue, really pushing outreach to students by possibly working with the director of outreach, if you could comment on that?
Yeah, so I think that kind of in the world that we're living in now, considering the pandemic and the distancing, I think social media has become an even more prevalent way to share those messages, like you said, and increasing followers can be super beneficial in getting those messages out. So kind of to continue increasing on the up and up that Anna started, kind of implementing regular social media, kind of posting schedules, as well as opportunities to do takeovers from members in student government, and then maybe push those out and collaborate with the other colleges to share those, or the other departments to kind of share the content in our page beyond just going on ours, but kind of broadening to those other departments as well.
Yeah, and also just to follow that again, it was kind of a two-part question. How do you also plan to work with the director of outreach? Because I know that Anna and Eliana were the power duo of cabinet last year, if you ask me anyway. And I feel your two positions generally kind of align pretty well. So how do you plan to work with the director of outreach, if at all? It's okay to say that you're not. And just how do you plan to kind of work on that connection, I guess?
Yes, definitely, and thanks for noting that. I'm really excited to work with Christian. We're actually meeting tomorrow to begin diving into all of this, and so kind of forming a plan to work together and to manage the PR committee, and collaborate with President Campbell and Vice President Decker as well, just to ensure that we are able to communicate those messages effectively. So something that I'd love to implement with Christian is, weekly or biweekly meetings, just to make sure that we're on the same page and like you said, form that great relationship that allows us to do our jobs effectively.
Okay, well, you seem eminently qualified for this position. Again, thank you for being here tonight, and best of luck. I yield.
Senator DeVore.
Well, Senator Seth kind of touched on the questions I was going to ask, but I would just like to speak on behalf of Ms. Johnson's part. I've worked really closely with her on a team in the past, and I can assure you that she does do great work in this area, far better than anything I could do, and certainly a lot of people I know can do as well. But I just want to assure you all that she is wholeheartedly qualified for this position, and I have no reservations or setbacks with anything that she would do. I really think she's qualified for this position. And I yield back.
Question has been called for and seconded. Is there any objection to voting now? We'll go ahead and go into closing comments. No closing comments from Speaker Weathers. Unanimous consent has been called for. Any objections to confirming the Senior Director of Communications unanimously? Congratulations. (2021-1-021) SC, confirming a nominee for Director of Outreach with Speaker Weathers.
Christian will go ahead and speak on his qualifications and his goals.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. I just wanted to introduce myself and have you guys know me a little bit. My name is Christian Grunsteiner, and I'm a freshman majoring in event management, and I will be minoring in public relations. I started off with my journey in student government beginning of fall semester, and I found student government on Club Fest, and I was like, that seems kind of interesting. So I decided to sign up for it, and I immediately fell in love with it. I signed up for the PR committee under Anna Olson, and we both just took offline. We loved it, and I had so much fun, and I loved engaging with the students and being able to work on projects together. I have done a multitude of projects. I worked with Election Commission very closely. I helped build up their following. By the end of the election process, we gained at least 30% more followers than what we started with. I've helped start the food truck event for Election Commission to help introduce senators. We have not done that before, so it was kind of new, but it was just so much fun just seeing everything come to light. With the Director of Outreach, I think this time is really crucial with the announcement from President Wendy Winterstein saying that this next semester will be more in person, and I think that's the comeback for student government. We need to have people be more engaged and more excited about student government because we are implemented so much into their daily lives. And I just wanted to market us so much to them that they know about us, that they know what we're doing every single day, and just be more interpersonal with them. So I have great plans for the comeback. Like, for example, DIS, I've already been brainstorming a little bit, and we've all agreed that President Julia Campbell will be in the dunk tank for DIS, or Vice President Megan Decker. So we have a lot of exciting plans, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Vice Speaker Crab.
Hi, this is a really, really important position. This was my position last year. A lot of y'all have talked about outreach during your terms already. So this is someone who's extremely qualified. I just want to talk about Christian's character for a while. Christian came into PR, and both Anna and I realized that he was incredibly special, and his talents were. I don't know how to form sentences. He was really talented with the stuff he did. I remember during the week we had Women's Week, running an election, and he was doing the events for the food truck and also a giveaway just within the same week. And he called me at 1 a.m. and he was like, "What can I do? Like, do you need help with anything?" And I was like, "You are insane." So Christian's one of the hardest working people I have ever met, and I am so proud and so excited that he is taking this position. Please ask him questions. This is an extremely important role, especially within reaching out to constituencies the next year, and also some of the events, if you are interested in having other people run or making sure that our events at DIS, Club Fest, After Dark are being recognized. So just you're going to do so great, Christian, and this is such an awesome role. So make sure, if he is appointed to this role, make sure that you're reaching out to him. Make sure you're answering his emails, making sure that you're a part of outreach as well as senators. All right, thank you. I yield.
Would one of the senators want to yield time to the senator-elect? Since you haven't been nominated yet, I can't give the chair to you. Okay, Senator Veit, would you like to yield your time to? Perfect. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Wagmeister.
Okay, perfect.
So maybe an overlooked part of the position is using money. A lot of the things that you've done and will eventually do involve money. Do you have any experience handling money, and how do you intend to make the biggest impact using funds most efficiently?
Of course, that's an excellent question. Yes, I have had experience dealing with money, especially under the PR committee. We have had a $2,000 budget, and we effectively used all of that. And I was with the campaign. We also had a set budget as well, and we've effectively used all of that. My plans to be using the funds is to be buying like buttons or stickers or anything that has student government's name on it and just plaster it. And the good thing about this is it's going to stay. It's not going to be going away. So it's an investment to keep on going throughout the year, so we won't have to continue making purchases and using up all our money and then being out of money. But we will be very effective with our budgeting skills, and we will not be going overboard, especially with $2,000 on the PR fund. But most of it will be a beginning investment, and it will be carrying throughout the year.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of your work.
Thank you.
Vice Speaker Crabbe? Oh, sorry about that. Any other questions or discussion for the nominee for Director of Outreach? Oh, Senator Vate.
Thank you for coming out so much. I guess just looking at the description in the bylaws, the Director of Outreach is supposed to set up a student organization outreach task force and organize and schedule classroom visits and create a presentation for incoming students and student organizations to inform them about StuGov. Could you perhaps speak to your experience with that, or really just your future plans about executing these duties, I suppose?
Yes, I'm actually so glad you asked me that question. Under the campaign, I compromised a list of over like 100 clubs and organizations, and I currently have them all still and the updated versions of all the contact information. So all that hard work is done. And I've been speaking to different clubs and organizations about my campaign. So I have been having experience with that, and I'm just so excited because they already know my face and I already know who they are. So right off the bat, we're going to be starting off and just working well together. And I'm very excited to be working with all the colleges that all the senators have as well. I believe that Director of Outreach is interconnected with every single branch. So I think it's very important that the director is very connected, which I am. So like I said, don't hesitate to ask me for any questions, or if you need me to do anything, I'm 100% willing to make your term successful and student government successful.
Thank you so much. I've seen you work really hard on the Olson-Gonzalez campaign, and I think you're really qualified for this job. So yeah, I'm thrilled to have you nominated, and call the question.
Thank you very much.
Question has been called for. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? We'll go to Senator No closing comments. Unanimous consent has been called for. Any objections to confirming the nominee for Director of Outreach? You're confirmed. Congratulations, Christian. Last one for special orders, 2021-1-024 SC, confirming a nominee for Director of Marketing with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, if Bryce wants to go ahead and approach the podium. This is a position that was just created by executive order by our President Campbell. So it isn't very, I don't know how rigidly it is, it's defined.
I can say that. Yeah, so normally this position is called graphic designer and videographer, but we think a better name because we want to combine those roles and the role that we hope Bryce would have on the PR committee and working with both Christian and Lydia. We think the title of marketing director would be a better name. So President Campbell just signed that executive order for that. So that's why it's named that. And this has just happened as of like 20 minutes ago. So that's the title that Bryce is a nominee for. You can go ahead and speak.
Yeah. All right. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Bryce Garman. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I am currently a sophomore here at Iowa State. My major is public relations, and my minor is political science. Currently, I'm serving on the Election Commission, which is where I got to meet many of you while you guys were working on your campaigns. So I wanted to get more involved in student government. I've always had an interest in government, local government. So that's when I applied for cabinet and was chosen for this new position, which, like Vice President Decker said, is going to encompass the roles of the graphic designer, a videographer. So working with Director of Outreach, Senior Director of Communications to compile stuff for the social media accounts, creating posters, stuff to put around campus just to advertise student government. There's a lot of students on campus that don't understand what student government does, or that we're actually here for the benefit of them. So I think this role will be very well made for marketing student government and getting stuff out there of what each branch is doing. So,
Senator Vate.
Sweet. This question goes out to President Campbell, I guess. Just in terms of, I know the Vice President went over the position really quickly, but could you speak more as to perhaps the requirements of the role? And especially, I'm interested to know if they're required to sit on Public Relations Committee, since their duties might overlap a little there.
Well, just a second. We'll go ahead and put the executive order on the screen too to give better description, and we can quick forward that to Vice Speaker Crabb. But yeah, sorry, President Campbell, go ahead.
Thanks so much for your question there. So when we talk about some of the marketing efforts, we're really looking forward to bringing forth and continuing those inclusive marketing efforts that are in tune with the current campus climate, as we can see on the executive order that's on the screen there. So we are so excited about Bryce's skill set in this role and what the energy and initiative he brings from his background in public relations and also the political science aspect. We think that his ability to connect with students and also continue to stay up to date on different channels and methods to connect with students is something we're really looking forward. As far as some of the specifics within the role, Bryce would serve on the PR committee and work very closely with Senior Director of Communications, Lydia, as well as Director of Outreach, Christian. With that being said, Bryce would also attend cabinet meetings to be in on that discussion and have a constant flow of communication, and also continue to be in constant communication with the other branches of government, the judicial, as well as the legislative branch, to continue that flow of ideas and cover as much material as possible in a timely manner.
Thank you so much, President Campbell. And nominee Garment, I know you've been doing a fantastic job on the Election Commission. Just in terms of the role, it sounds like something that really requires working across all the committees, because even I've seen like the other committees, maybe Health and Wellness has mental health outreach, Student Initiatives also has mental health outreach in terms of just reaching students, tabling, that's PR again. So considering it does require working across committees, just sort of wanted to ask you about your thoughts on that.
I'm actually really excited to work with all committees in the Senate. I'm new to student government just this year. This is my first year at Iowa State. So I'm really interested in learning about what everyone's doing on these committees, and then taking that knowledge and making sure that students across campus are also aware of what the committees are doing.
Right, sweet. Thank you so much. I know you've been doing a great job supporting the people that you were assigned to as Election Commission liaison, and I'm excited to see you in this position.
Thank you.
Senator Paulson.
Hi, I just wanted to speak on behalf of speak on Bryce. He's actually one of the reasons that I ran for student government. He marketed student government to me, explained everything and just kind of the process of what student government is. And I think he would do a really great job of just showing students that and marketing it as well as just updating everyone with what's going on in student government. And yeah, that's all. I yield.
Any other questions or discussion for the nominee for Director of Marketing? I'm going to call the question in a second. Any objection to voting now? Closing comments? No closing comments. Unanimous consent has been called for. Any objections to confirming the Director of Marketing unanimously? Congratulations, Bryce. Moving on to new business, 2021-1-004J, prioritizing in-person students in the COVID-19 vaccine rollout with Senator Debate.
First, I move to waive second read on the bill.
It's been a move to read the second read on the bill. Is there a second? Second. Right, any objection? Go ahead. You can. Now we're voting on you move the second read.
You see.
Unanimous consent has been called for. Any objections? Right.
All right, next I'm going to move to discharge this bill from committee.
It's been moved and seconded to discharge this bill from committee. Any objection?
All right, and next I'm going to move to adopt the amendments as reflected on the screen.
It's been moved to adopt the amendments on the screen and seconded. Any objections?
Discussion.
What did you say?
Discussion on the amendments.
Yep, now we're discussing, now we're going to move into discussion on the amendments proposed.
Right, so all the amendments do is change the title, really, to be more reflective of what the bill does. Call the question.
Question has been called for. Any objection? All right, going into voting and now closing comments. Excuse me, sorry. Unanimous consent has been called for. Any objection? And now we're back onto the bill as a whole. amendments have been passed. So with the new proposed amendments.
All right. Great. So this is a bill that really was sparked by Senator Thornton, really. So the catalyst for this bill is that some students, for example, design students have critiques over prep week. I know some engineering students have capstone projects and stuff of the sort, and I'm sure there's other significant grade determining assignments some students have to do over prep week. And this really is a bill asking the university to prioritize students like that, students that have to show up over prep week, so that way if they do have adverse reactions to vaccines, they won't be right when they do have to show up somewhere, be it online or in person. That being said, I would ask you to point all questions to Senator Thornton or myself. I'm going to yield for discussion.
Discussion on the proposed bill. Senator Thornton.
Right, so it's pretty much as Senator Bates said. So the vaccine rollout begins this upcoming Monday on the 19th. And then prep week is the following week, aka what we've been used to be calling dead week. And for design students specifically, during prep week is when reviews or critiques, depending on what your major is, it's called something else, review or critique. And those are compulsory live presentations, either in person or over Zoom, depending on what your instructor or the college is able to supply. And if you don't actually give your presentation live, typically your grade is docked, and that's expected. You go into your major knowing that after like your first class or your first semester, you absorb that, you know it. As expected, usually with honors in their senior year, they have, or their senior year, they give their senior presentation as well in most majors. And so that would, I expect, would also be a live presentation. As mentioned, engineering students and other majors also have their capstone classes. And there are also other courses that have live presentations or on-campus classes as well. So any student that just has their on-campus class, this resolution would propose that those students are prioritized for the campus COVID rollout. I yield.
Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, I wanted to move an amendment, and perhaps Senator Adbate would accept this as a friendly. In the first whereas clause, I would like to amend to change the word "these moves" to these aforementioned actions. Yeah, please go.
Speaker Weathers, do you mean the last whereas? Which?
Excuse me, I'm not sure if I misspoke. I meant to say the first resolve clause.
Okay, I would like to accept that as a friendly if the body gives consent.
Any objection to the friendly amendment? All right, the amendment's been added. I will go. Senator Yang, you don't speak. Senator Seth.
Hi. So my question is about students that might have, underlying health conditions that maybe weren't necessarily prioritized in like the initial rounds of vaccines for COVID, like in like January, February. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that and how this resolution could also support the interests of those students with underlying health conditions who may have, very severe impacts if they do get COVID-19, and prioritizing those students for vaccination. So I guess I'm just a little bit concerned about, maybe any remaining students on campus who might have, health conditions, maybe like something like asthma or something like that, and how this bill would impact them, or this resolution would impact them.
Senator Debate.
Right, so just sort of to answer that, I cannot conclusively answer this. This is a question for Associate Vice President for Health and Wellness, Baldwin, I suppose, but I'm pretty sure the university is already prioritizing that specific demographic. And a resolution isn't binding. All it does is says, hey, we officially think this is a good idea. I think of it as a good idea bill. So the expected effect here is that this goes to the two people named on there. They see it, and it just brings up awareness and attention. But I don't imagine the AVP or university president Winterstein would look at this bill and move this category of students above students with severe underlying health conditions.
Senator Yang?
With regards with what we just discussed, can we amend the resolution to be prioritized after people with underlying health conditions? It's not really necessary, as you said, because this is not a command, nor do we have the power to do that, but I feel that's prudent. How does that work?
So you can move to amend, did you want to change the title specifically?
Oh, no, just the first resolve clause. It says projects during prep week are prioritized in receiving, so prioritized after people with underlying health conditions.
Okay, so say that one more time so we can put it as a suggestion if you want to move to do that, and then we can vote on that.
Okay. I move to amend as Senator Advait is writing, what he's writing.
All right, is there a second? Any objection to adding that amendment? Yep, and then we'll go into a discussion period. Now we're on the discussion period with the amendment. So any discussion on the proposed amendment from Senator Yang? Senator Thornton?
Okay, it is my understanding that Teelan Health Center was already rolling out vaccines prior to this Monday to students with compromised immune systems as well as faculty over the age of 75. So this is not necessarily something that we have to concern ourselves with, and just because this proposed or this resolution proposes that we prioritize this group of students doesn't necessarily mean that we are pushing down the group that is already currently being vaccinated. It just means that we are elevating this group of students to that same level of students who are still being vaccinated. And again, this is just for the consideration of AVP Baldwin and President Winterstein. So I yield.
Senator Yang?
Yeah, I just don't want to give off the wrong impression in any way. And as Senator Seth said, there might be some people who may have not had it yet. So it doesn't change too much, but I think it gives off a better impression.
Senator Advait?
Real quick, while we're on this, I'd like to propose a secondary amendment to switch out people with students, if Senator Yang would take that as a friendly and the body consents.
I agree.
Any objections to adding the friendly amendment? Right. Adding that friendly amendment, but we're still on the discussion for the proposed amendment from Senator Yang. Question has been called for. Any second?
Second.
Right. Any objection to voting now? So now we're voting on just the amendment that's proposed. We'll go into a placard vote. So voting yes on the amendment, go ahead, raise your placards. And now raise your placard for no. And any abstentions? Okay, I have a vote to, oh, and then any of the proxies too. So the two proxies were Atagarla.
I'm getting bubbles right now, so.
Okay, perfect. And I'll just ask Martinez.
Yes.
Yes.
B22 with the proxy. No. Sorry, she's still.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're gonna abstain. Okay, so a vote to 19 to 4 to 1 abstention. The bill or the amendment passes. So now we're on regular discussion for the bill with the new amendment. Any further discussion on the bill as a whole with the new amendment? Question has been called for. Is there a second? Any objection to voting now? We'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Senator Debate. Waived. All right, we'll go ahead and vote. We'll vote. Unanimous consent has been called for. Any objection to passing the bill unanimously? All right. Bill has been passed unanimously. Go ahead and go into other new business. 2021-1-005Y, expanding Student Initiatives Committee membership with Senator Debate.
Title. Right, so this is a bill that was written up after looking at the really high demand to be on Student Initiatives Committee. It is a rather project-based committee, so having more, I suppose, not to use a gendered term, but more manpower on the committee is generally a good thing. I've spoken to our previous vice chair, Danielle Hayes, about it, and other people in student government, including people that are interested in the committee. We generally seem to think it's a good idea, but we will be seeing this in rules. There have been concerns about making the committee too big, and I fully intend to, compromise and figure out the best thing for Senate. So if you have any questions of intent, please do ask me. But other than that, this bill will go through Rules Committee, so that's another great place you can have your voice heard if you have thoughts about the bill. I yield.
Any questions of intent for Senator Debate? All right, well, we'll move forward then on to 2021-1-006Y, adding a diversity, equity, and inclusion chair to Sustainability Committee with Senator Seth.
Title? Okay, everyone. So this bill is a bylaw bill that I have written on behalf of the former Sustainability Committee. We felt, based off of the actions that occurred in student government in the last 2 months or so, that our committee needed to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion more than it had been over the past year. And so what we decided as a committee, just so you all are aware, there are 12 members on the Sustainability Committee of Student Government, comprised of 2 senators. All members of the committee agreed that we wanted there to be a diversity, equity, and inclusion chair that would be part of the committee that would work very closely with the Director of Diversity and Inclusion and Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And if you're wondering why we thought that diversity, equity, and inclusion is needed in sustainability, I will direct you to the Live Green website that is through the Office of Sustainability at Iowa State. We define sustainability as an institution as comprising of environmental, economic, and social sustainability. And so as Sustainability Committee of Student Government, part of our charge is social sustainability, and that includes issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion in all spaces on campus, and includes other things such as environmental justice and environmental racism. And that is not something that the committee really focused on this year, and I think we should have. And I think there were opportunities to work with Diversity and Inclusion Committee that were not taken. And the committee of last year also agreed with this perspective, and that is why this bylaw bill is coming up. And I will note to all of you that this bylaw bill does not affect really any of the other committees in student government, with the exception of our own committee. This is like our own internal committee business. Senate will not really be involved in confirming the vice chair. So essentially the vice chair of a committee doesn't have to be confirmed by Senate. So this committee chair within sustainability will be selected by sustainability committee members, and it's pretty much an internal process, so it won't really affect any of the other functions that are happening in student government committees, with the exception of the diversity, equity, and inclusion chair just sitting in on diversity and inclusion committee meetings. So that was a lot of information. If you have any questions of intent for me, feel free to ask me now. I want to also just let all of you know, if you don't know, that questions of intent I can only answer yes or no questions. So don't ask me questions that require me to explain things, because we can't do that due to Robert's rules, just so people are aware of that moving forward. But I yield to questions.
Moving on to questions of intent for Senator Seth with Senator Vate.
Senator Seth, do you intend to reach out to, now that we do have a diversity and inclusion committee chair, do you intend on reaching out to them in terms of figuring out whether or not this vice chair position would be required to be an ex officio member, what their thoughts are, in time for amendments to be proposed when this bill is up for second read next week?
Yes.
Senator Yang.
Do you believe that there's environmental racism at Iowa State?
Yes.
Any more questions of intent for Senator Seth? Right. Move to consider as read to the Rules Committee. Now 2021-1-007F student activities line item transfer and carryover request with Speaker Weathers.
Yeah, this is something the now former, title. My apologies, I should know that. This is something the former finance director class brought to my attention. It's pretty simple. SAC just wants to transfer some funds that they were going to spend on ClubFest last year, but due to COVID, they had a ton of excess funds. So they are instead transferring it to, I believe, update the StuOrg database. So if you have any questions of intent for me, that's great, but otherwise, we'll see this next week.
Is there any questions of intent for Speaker Weathers? All right, well, we'll go ahead and move into, Senator Vate. All right, now we'll go ahead and move into announcements for this evening. Senator Vate.
This is Senator Martinez that wishes to be recognized.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. They would like to make a closing announcement, and they'd like to do it over a phone call, so I will be placing the phone call right now, if that's okay. All right. All right, Natalia, you're on.
Phone's connected. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Sorry about that. My headphones connected. So hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I imagine that you're tired, so I'll try to be quick. So as you know, I'm Natalia Rios Martinez and I represent the LAS College. As some of you know, I'm in Puerto Rico right now because I have to attend some family matters. So thank you for your patience and thank you, Vate, for representing me tonight. And for everyone that chose me, well, thank you for that too. I wanted to say that, that I hear you and that I'm here to represent especially minoritized students. And on that note, I wanted to bring up that students across campus are celebrating Ramadan, a Muslim celebration that involves prayer, laying to night, fasting, and other things. Students will be fasting from April until May 12th, which means that they'll be taking no food or water from dawn until dusk, so until like 4:30 until 8:30 p.m. Students may be tired and hungry due to the fasting, and I think that as a diverse and inclusive organization, we must take into account their needs. 3 of our dining facilities close at 8:30 p.m. and another one closes at 8:30, which is Friday, but that's only from Monday until Thursday. And that doesn't allow enough time for our students to break their fast and eat at appropriate times for them. Eating outside campus is not an option for students who have already paid for meal plans, and halal food can be very expensive. I recently became aware of this celebration, which is why I've been talking to Muslim students to get their input. I could not introduce a bill tonight to address this issue because of time constraints. They needed to be in before Sunday, so I will be submitting one next week. So if you want to work with me to help Muslim students, to help make food accessible to them during those periods of time, feel free to reach out to me so we can ensure that they continue to celebrate Ramadan. And I think that's it, and thank you and have a good night.
All right, thanks Natalia.
Senator Vate.
Yes, now this is actually Senator Vate. But hello everyone. I just wanted, since I didn't get a committee update, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that participated in the campus safety walk last week. It was a great success, and the committee could not have done it without every single one of you that came out, dragged your friends out with you, brought along plus ones. We were talking to FPNM after, and they were surprised by how many people showed up, especially considering the wet and dreary weather. They said that was the most students they have seen in years. So, oops, sorry. So, thank you so much again, and I really look forward to working with all of you and everyone that's been nominated onto the committee, because we're going to be doing a lot more of these coming up. These are biannual, so next semester we'll see another safety walk, and we can cover the areas of campus we weren't able to cover last week. Now, secondly, as you might have noticed, I was confirmed to rules again, and I just want to take this opportunity to say, please reach out if you want to write a bill, if you want to write a bylaw bill, resolution, what have you. I've already helped a couple senators do that just this week for today's meeting. And just text me, email me. I'm in the office a lot. Reach out with your ideas. Bill writing does not have to be a barrier. And if there's anything I can do, please do let me know. I'd love to help. And yeah, that's really all I had. I'm going to yield, but y'all have a good night.
Senator Herron?
So this weekend is the Iowa State Fashion Show, and I am the senator of College of Human Sciences. Is this just on still? Can you still hear me? No? Does this thing just not like me? Okay, cool. But I am the College of Human Sciences senator, and I'm also in apparel merchandising and design. So the fashion show is this weekend. I encourage you all to watch. You can either go to our watch parties. Senator Hayes is a model, so you can watch him strut the runway. I encourage doing that too. We have watch parties, or I believe if you go to the Iowa State Fashion Show Instagram, I think they're gonna have a link to where you can watch the stream from like the comfort of your own home. I think it might be through like the website we have set up or something. But it starts at 7 p.m. It's also a great way to just see what everyone has been doing in the College of Human Sciences, because it's event management kids who do it. It's also people who are in public relations. It's people who are in marketing. I don't know. It's kind of a great way where all students from across all colleges of campus come together. So I just encourage you all to watch and put it on your Instagram stories and shout us out, please. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Finance Director Zastro.
That's exciting. So thank you all for confirming me tonight. Really appreciate that. Finance Committee applications, I will hopefully get those out before next Senate meeting. I'm going to be talking to class tomorrow about the kind of transition, so if you don't get those, class probably advised that I wait on that. But if you guys have any questions when I send out those, please email me. I'll make sure my stuff is on the MIS. Also, if you email stugov.iastate.edu, that'll go to my email. Thank you all again. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. It's complicated, but it is really exciting and really worth it, I promise. Thank you.
Sophia.
Hi, I just wanted to give a super quick hello. This is not going to be super long considering it's 9:30. I wanted to say hi. My name is Sophia Sarver, but you can call me Sophie. I'm the student government advisor, so I advise the whole organization except for the Student Supreme Court. So everything else, I have an active hand in helping support all of you. So expect an email from me either tomorrow or Friday, just giving you some information about what I do and how I can help you. And welcome all to Senate. So have a great evening.
President Campbell.
Hey everyone, thanks for a great discussion tonight. One thing I wanted to draw everyone's attention to is the International Food Fair that's going on this weekend. This Sunday, April 18th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's going to be taking place in the Great Hall. It sounds like a fantastic event, and I'm looking forward to going. If anyone would like to come along with me, we can meet up ahead of time or cross paths there. Alejandro earlier had mentioned there are to-go options that will be there. So if you'd like to take it and eat elsewhere, you're welcome to do so. And this event is actually used to fund scholarships for members or for international students as well the scholarships are provided by ISSO and International Student Council. So this is an awesome opportunity. Again, if anyone would like to go, I'd love to hang out with you there. So look forward to it and reach out with any questions.
Yeah, so I guess I'm the last one for announcements tonight, but I'm really excited about all the nominations for cabinet, and I think it's going to be an awesome year. Yes, and you guys as well. But I was going to touch on the proxy. The proxy system was new this year due to COVID, but don't probably expect that to be a thing here in the fall. That's made for people, or it's made for people who are sick. So just letting you know, but everyone's been really great about letting me know if they can't make meetings. So I really appreciate that. Senator Hayes isn't here because he's at the fashion show practice tonight, but next week we're thinking for I think it's our last meeting next week of the semester, which is crazy. We're going to have go to half apps at Applebee's or Buffalo Wild Wings for a Senate social. So I think that'd be a lot of fun next week. And then Julia Campbell, President Campbell, and myself would really like to meet with all the senators really briefly before the end of the school year or just a little bit into the summer maybe, just to touch base and get to know you. It probably won't take more than 10 minutes. Just say hello. You know, why are you passionate about student government? Super short, but we'll send out something by the end of this week or beginning of next week for that. But great meeting tonight. I'm really excited about all the confirmations, and we'll move on quick to Vice Speaker Crabb.
Yes, so this is going to be just a teensy bit long, so don't yell at me. I will never do a long one ever again. There's a couple things I want to go over. The COVID-19 Campus Climate Survey that I gave earlier. If you have any questions or any plans of implementation, you all know my email. Please email me that. Congrats to everyone in their new roles. I think Cabinet's looking wonderful, so congratulations to President Campbell and Vice President Decker on that. Also, all my mentees, can you find me after this meeting? And I would suggest that maybe you kind of pair up with your mentees or mentors after this meeting as well, just so you can put a face to the name. And I also want to go over malfeasances, nonfeasances, and misfeasances. I hate that I have this job of kind of explaining it right now, but that's all right. So essentially, 2 late arrivals or dismissals equals an unexcused absence. 2 unexcused absence equals a nonfeasance. 5 total unexcused absences equals an automatic removal of Senate. Miss and malfeasances will be reviewed in rules. I don't want to see any of you in rules. Next year, the 2 weeks next year we are we extended it for 2 weeks, but we're getting rid of some of the pandemic policies. So like Vice President Decker said, we're going to be getting rid of proxies, and also you will be required to do office hours. So if you do 2 weeks of missing office hours, those will equal a nonfeasance. And also, the chair can excuse dismissals or tardies. So if you are going to be early or late, just let Vice President Campbell or Vice President Decker know. Sorry. And then also for programs, this is in our bylaws as well. So no phones during programs, and make sure we have a lot of really cool people come talk to us for our programs. You're going to want to make sure to have your laptop down right when they speak, just because if you are typing or it just look kind of off. So that is something in our bylaws as well. Okay, now that I'm done being mean. Also, with the recent events that have happened this past week, I wanted to give out some resources and happenings for multicultural groups around campus. So some of our resources are the Multicultural Student Affairs Office, the Racial Trauma Toolkit, which is the Boston College has put that on. And if you need a link, please reach out to me. We have the Multicultural Student Center in the MU, and then also the Ombuds Office, and also ISU Student Counseling. Some of the events, thank you for covering the International Student Food Fair. I'm really excited for that. And also, there's a gold table talk, which have you heard of like the red table talk? Okay, it's like the same version, but it's being put on by the Multicultural Student Association tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the Cardinal Room in the MU. I'm going. Speaker Weathers might go. I'm not sure. He's nodding his head yes, so yes. And also, there's a food drive for shop until April 22nd. Make sure to just drop off. You can drop off canned foods and non-perishables in the Student Affairs Office 2080 in the Student Services Building. And thank you folks for sitting for 4 hours of this. I promise they get a little bit more fun. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything, just reach out to the wonderful Speaker Weathers and I. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be brief, everybody. Excellent, great, fantastic meeting tonight. I want to say congratulations to everyone who's confirmed both either by executive appointment or through a committee. I think, and I want to thank everyone for their questions. I mean, our role as the Senate is to interrogate and to make sure that everyone who's fitting these roles is the best fit for the job. And I think we did that tonight, honestly. I want to thank everyone for bearing with both Vice Speaker Crabb and I in our first meeting tonight. I know it was a little rough at some points. We have a lot to learn. I want to thank everyone for all the questions that they've been sending us and reaching out. I will begin reaching out to everybody here. I'll be sitting out on committees. I have a lot to offer you. You all have a lot to offer me, and I'm looking forward to developing a relationship with everybody in here. Lastly, something of more substance I want to touch on. The D&I ad hoc committee that I spoke on during my speech when I was running for speaker, I began the ball rolling on that. So you can expect some announcements on that. It's going to be a joint committee between the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the Senate. So that'll be meeting over the summer. I'll be sending information out about that. I'll be gauging all of your opinions on it as well. So I believe that's all. In summary, thank you so much. Go Clones. Move to adjourn.
Any objections?